the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 576, Infiltration. Wait a minute, how many Gyarados did you call? ZioAI asked Eminem in a low voice on the road. 20 or 30. When we get there, there should be 40 or 50. Eminem turned around and replied, Point, the density of Gyarados in Lake of Wrath is already astonishing, but even so, after all, the most numerous Pokémon are King Magikarp and Hornfish, with Gyarados being only a minority. Where's King Carp? ZioAI asked. Why are you calling Carp king? Eminem still didn't understand what ZioAI meant. I saw ZioAI whispering to Eminem at this moment. Eminem and his team rode Gyarados all the way to the northwest lakeside of the Lake of Anger. Sure enough, there was a cargo ship flying the flag of a serious chamber of commerce, parked not far from the shore at this time, and from the abandoned and desolate villa area, people came in and out from time to time to move things onto the small boat, and then transported them from small boats to larger ships. After all, there is no port shipyard here, and the depth is too deep for large ships to dock close to the shore. It is not easy to get goods onto the ship. Great. It seems there's still time to leave. Amu's eyes lit up when he saw this. It seems that they are going to leave disguised as ordinary merchant ships. There should be a lot of big things. Hinata also saw it. If you don't have anything big to transport, you can leave directly from the mountains in the north, and you will be unaware of it. As for the plane, short distance flights and temporary lifts are okay, but if you want to fly long distances, the plane is actually very conspicuous, because the flight path of the plane is also a fixed route, and long distance flights are easy to be discovered by flying Pokémon. An If you take a route other than the fixed route, although it is not certain, there is a probability that it will attract the hostility of Rayquaza. The sky is so big that Rayquaza may not notice it, but generally no one wants to gamble. It seems like he's leaving. At this moment, Eminem noticed that the people inside began to come out in a hurry, and they could only get out. It seems we came at the right time, Hinata said excitedly. For the Rangers, what they have to do now is a bit over the top. At the same time, Jin also violently seized command and ordered the bastards in front of him to evacuate quickly. I don't know why, but Jin had a bad premonition even more. At this time, the retreating researchers on the boat did not notice that Gyarados was swimming over under the lake. But he didn't dare to get too close because there were other water Pokémon on guard around the cargo ship. Do you want to do something? Hinata asked nervously. No, if we do it directly, we don't rule out that the other party will destroy the key evidence. Wait for me outside. If they leave, follow them covertly. If you can't hide, don't force it. You can give up following for the time being. I'll sneak into the ship. Fix the evidence first, Eminem said bravely. What? That's too. Hinata was about to remind Eminem of the risks, but Eminem just patted his chest, at this time his own, of course. To be precise, he patted the lightning bird bull on his chest. Seeing this, Hinata did not continue to stop them. At the same time, he added, if you must go, then let's not take action first. We will directly follow them to the port where they dock and notify the Alliance to arrest them. It depends on the situation. You shouldn't be able to lurk for that long. Amu didn't show off, but he didn't think he could go all the way without being discovered. But when he was about to sneak in, ZioAI pulled Amu. It doesn't matter, you are following Sakura, and Sakura is also very powerful, Eminem said, touching her head. ZioAI rolled her eyes at him, then turned away. Tomoyo said from the side, what a terrible brother. ZioAI is worried about you, right? Eminem was stunned when he heard this, and his first reaction was, how is that possible? It's not like ZioAI has never seen the power of a huge dragon. On the contrary, ZioAI has a special fear of dark organizations. She should be worried about herself, right? No, I'm afraid you can't find the key evidence, and if you have any doubts, use this to contact me. ZioAI rolled her eyes as he spoke. He waved the wireless communication device. At this time, Chais also looked at ZioAI with more certainty. She basically guessed it. It seems that ZioAI should have some unknown special relationship with Team Rocket. No, with the organization that conducts secret experiments here. Just when Eminem was diving into the water, he suddenly came to his senses. It is because of the special fear of dark organizations that ZioAI will instinctively misjudge, even ignore the power of the huge dragon, and unreasonably worry about himself. It seems to make sense. After Eminem approached the warning range of the opponent's aquatic Pokémon, he ordered the Gyarados around him. At this time, 3 Quasi Kings rushed over from other directions, neither too high nor too low to be suspected. It's not too weak either. Under the impact of Gyarados, the surrounding Pokémon who were on alert immediately launched a counterattack and quickly repelled these wild Gyarados with their numerical advantage. At the same time, I didn't doubt anything too much. Gyarados is a relatively violent Pokémon to begin with. With so many people gathered here, it is normal for Gyarados to attack in a twitchy manner, but taking advantage of the brief chaos, Eminem, who was holding a portable compressed oxygen tank in his mouth, had sneaked into the cargo ship and climbed onto the deck with his bare hands. Because it was on the backside, the other party didn't notice it. In fact, what Eminem didn't know was that he was almost seen. But for some reason, when one of the other party's Megalodon looked over, the light around Eminem was distorted, causing him to disappear from sight. Eminem himself didn't realize this. Observing these guards at close range, Eminem initially judged that they were not members of the Dark Organization, but only members of the Flame Team. Firstly, they are full of the aura of minions of a violent organization, without the mystery of a dark organization at all. Secondly, they also wear the beating flame badge on their arms. The Dark Organization is now completely parasitic on Team Flare, but although the two wear the same pair of pants, there are still some differences. And Eminem also vaguely noticed that the researchers who were moving things here had a somewhat strange attitude towards the people from Team Flare. It seemed that they were not all members of Team Flare or the Dark Organization. Then Eminem was on the shore again and saw that old acquaintance, Jin. The moment Jin's identity was confirmed, Eminem looked away. This guy's intuition is not ordinary sensitive. Without having time to think about it, Eminem quietly came to the cargo hold, ready to see what valuable information or experimental materials there were, and at the same time, he praised his decision. Since Jin is here, with his temper, if there is a conflict, it will definitely destroy the evidence immediately. Eminem even suspected that there was a spare bomb in a corner of the cargo hold, but just when Eminem wanted to use a wireless device to contact ZioAI and ask her what are the most important, Zilla, why is there no signal? When Eminem was wondering why Dr. Ailey's invention was out of order, a red figure emerged from behind Eminem. Dong dong. Double monthly pass is still in activity. Please give me monthly pass. Please give me monthly pass. Chapter 577 Reasons. Your wireless signal will be sensed by the Porygon. When Eminem was wondering, a familiar voice came from behind point. Because something happened suddenly, Eminem was shocked. However, before Eminem really jumped up, Nazi stretched out his hand to hold his shoulders and pressed him down. Yes, the person who came was none other than the Nazi whom he had met a few days ago. Nazi? Why are you? Could it be that the ghost in red is? Eminem suddenly came to his senses. It seems that Natsu came here earlier than he thought. It was just that Kajiro knew that he was also in Kaji City, so he went from the Lake of Anger to the Pokémon Center in Kaji City. Red clothed ghost? Nazi frowned. Ahem. It's nothing. Eminem thought it would be better not to tell her, as many trainers regarded her as a ghost. You were investigating this secret research institute of Team Flare before. Eminem realized this. The rumors of Red Gyarados have been around for some time, and the Red Ghost statement has been around for nearly a month. Team Flare. This research institute is not from Team Flare. Nazi frowned and did not deny that she had been there for a long time. Instead, she corrected Team Flare's secret research institute. Eminem was stunned when he heard this and asked, "You mean the Dark Organization?" Nazi obviously didn't want to play this kind of word game and frowned. "What do you know? I started investigating this matter in the Lake of Wrath a month ago, and until last night, I didn't find any work by Team Flare. but in the past 2 days, after I finally locked down their lair, people from Team Flare came to assist them in evacuating. After listening to Nazi's words, Eminem understood what she meant. The people in the previous research institute didn't seem to be from Team Flare. At least Nazi thinks so. Before that, Amu was about to ask who was here before. Stan Industries. Nazi said directly. Huh. Eminem felt that the name was vaguely familiar, but he couldn't remember it for a while. Note 1. Hesu District is one of Stark Industries' competitors. It is also one of the top combat props production groups below Stark Industries. The leader, Howard Stan, is also a veteran of Stark Industries. Nazi said. Eminem always felt that he had heard of Stan Industries and Howard somewhere, but he couldn't remember where he heard it from, so he had to treat it as not important, or maybe he saw it on the news. Why is it still related to Stan Industries? Are you sure? Amu wondered. In Eminem's opinion, Nazi's advantage points should all be in battles. Investigating this kind of thing, she may not. Ahem. Actually, Eminem is also very confused as to why Sakaki sent her here. Could it be that something went wrong in Kanto? No one else can leave. As if sensing Eminem's suspicion, Nazi didn't speak, but stared at Eminem with her red eyes. Oh, okay, of course you can't be wrong. Just pretend I didn't ask. Eminem corrected himself, feeling guilty. It seems that in the past month, except for the last 2 days, the clues that Nazi has found are all related to Stan Industry. What else do you know? Nazi asked directly. I heard that the Dark Organization has a secret research base in the Lake of Anger. I recently heard that the Lake of Anger is not peaceful, so I worked with the rangers who came to investigate this matter. Eminem said truthfully. She just didn't mention how she knew about the Dark Organization, and Nazi didn't ask in detail. Dark Organization. Stan Industries. Nazi muttered. It seems that she has also suspected that this secret research institute may be a collaboration between two forces, so there are still people from Team Flare coming in the past 2 days. Wait a minute. Team Rocket? No, it's Uncle Liu. Isn't it cooperating with them? Eminem suddenly asked. As he glared at him and said, No. Why are you here without you? Eminem asked. Asking, it has nothing to do with you. Nazi said coldly. Why does it have nothing to do with me? I came to the Lake of Anger, but to find the little wild boar. Amu's tone became weaker and weaker as he spoke. Nazi looked at him with more and more speechless eyes. Do you still know that you are here to find the little mountain pig? Why can you make such a big fuss when you find a little wild boar who is both a member of Stan Industries and a dark organization? It really has nothing to do with Eminem, but that Jin attacked me several times. I want to take revenge. Eminem immediately changed direction. At the same time, Eminem still suspected that the reason why Nazi was here should still be Liu. Otherwise, even if the Rockets knew that Stan Industries and Team Flare were causing trouble in their own territory, they would definitely have to be handled by Liu, the hands-on man of Johto. As for why these two families want to go all the way to open a secret research institute in the Lake of Anger, I think it's either because of the special environment of the Lake of Anger, or it's used as experimental material for the Gyarados tribe here. The reason why it was Nazi who came to investigate. Eminem speculated that Sakaki was probably also suspicious of Liu. After all, Nazi's investigation target should be Liu. This secret research institute was just following the clues, so it made sense. Nazi looked at Eminem's "I've guessed it all" expression, and suddenly her face turned dark and said, Uncle Liu is a veteran of Team Rocket. Don't make random guesses. I understand. Just like Howard is also the veteran of Stark Industries. Eminem said understandingly. Nazi, if it were anyone else, Nazi would have communicated with him in another way and let him truly understand why he shouldn't worry about things that have nothing to do with you. Nazi took a deep breath and then said patiently, Boss Sakaki still trusts Uncle Liu. As for the Research Institute of Lake of Anger, even if Uncle Liu really cooperates with them, it is not a big deal. Boss Sakaki is just worried. What he is doing is to know what price those people paid. Although this kind of thing should not be leaked to outsiders, but Nazi saw that Eminem had misunderstood in other directions, so she had to explain it. It is true that Nazi came to Johto because of Liu both matter, but unlike what Eminem imagined now, Sakaki was not worried that he would become crooked, but discovered that he might do something stupid. Because Liu was indeed doing something without telling Sakaki. If you look into it carefully, he is indeed suspected of betraying Team Rocket. So it was Nazi who came to deal with it. Although Natsu's abilities outside of Pokémon battles are all inferior, and she is better at crushing the game, she is also more able to exercise Sakaki's will, or she doesn't care what happens to Team Rocket. Otherwise, if it were AG who came to Johto to investigate, he would probably ask Uncle Liu to give an explanation to Team Rocket, no matter what the reason was, and no matter what Sakaki told him. That's why you're the one doing the investigation, not Arju. Eminem suddenly understood. He felt weird just now, feeling that Nazi didn't look like a talent for investigation. Nazi's face turned darker. Note 1. The prototype of Stan Industries is the villain group in Detective Pikachu, and the name Harwood is also taken from it. In addition, a part of the Rivals of Stark Industries setting is added, and Harwood also incorporates part of the character of Abadiath Stain in Iron Man. In addition, there is also a mention of Stan Industries in the previous article, which is a foreshadowing of the subsequent plot. The plot of Lake of Anger is also the foreshadowing of this foreshadowing, and the source of Eminem's impression, but it will not be revealed directly here. Chapter 578 Noah takes action. Have you figured out where this ship is? Amu asked Nazi directly. I don't know, and I won't let it get anywhere. Nazi said confidently. Slim Shady, this is not a question of whether it can reach its destination, but where the ship is going, which determines which collaborators these guys have in the city. If it was Arju, he would have investigated clearly, right? Nazi said with a stern expression. I really let you down. You angry? Eminem showed a worried expression. No. Nazi's red eyes almost flashed. But there are polygons on the ship? There won't be a large Pokémon radar, right? Amu asked worriedly. Nazi heard him skipping the previous topic smoothly, took a deep breath, and then said, yes, all kinds of inspection systems on this ship are complete, and it is not as simple as it seems. Even you have just been monitored. Location is up. Although Nazi said this, Eminem was only troubled, not nervous, since Nazi knew she must have covered it up for herself at the time. Optical based monitoring does not require anything else, just a protective color can fool it. Just now, Eminem's wireless communicator was interfered with, and it must have been done by Nazi. Otherwise the polygon on the ship would have noticed it. Fortunately, the range is not as large as that of the Sentinel. Otherwise, if I were surrounded by so many Gyarados, I would have been discovered long ago. Eminem said helplessly. In this way, I expected the Gyarados to launch a surprise attack. It is impossible, and it is not even advisable to gather too many. Oh, I only know those fancy things. Nazi said disdainfully at this time. Slim Shady? Eminem felt that she had forgotten who helped her find the gem starfish on the Santanu, but Eminem is not too worried. Although his previous idea of gathering more Gyarados along the way was shattered. But Nazi is here. It doesn't matter. Having you here is equivalent to 100 Gyarados. Eminem looked at Nazi with trust in his face. Realizing that Nazi didn't seem as happy as he thought, Eminem added, I'm talking about the stronger one, not the newly evolved Gyarados. It was obviously in the windlass cargo hold, but all Nazi's long hair could be seen was fluttering slightly, and her eyes were gradually flashing red. Eminem saw some signs that her superpowers were out of control, and he quickly asked worriedly, has the previous injury not healed yet? Z's expression froze when she heard this, and she put out the fire again. At the same time, a mosaic floated out of Eminem's jacket pocket, condensing into the shape of a polygon. It doesn't matter, I will take action. Noah will study on the internet, as long as there is a signal recently. Eminem asked. Noah kept learning, and Eminem felt that his ability to express himself was becoming more and more erratic. It's just a polygon. Noah seemed to have forgotten that he was also a polygon. No, it should be said, Noah never considered himself a polygon, but only existed in the form of a polygon for the time being. Eminem also understood it. It was talking about the polygon in the ship's control system. Eminem has never specially trained Noah. Training a polygon is completely different from training ordinary Pokémon. Eminem doesn't have skills such as programming, and he can't train it, even if he wants to. But even so, Noah's level improvement has never been slower than other Pokémon. After all, it can download and learn from the internet. Even when there is no internet, it is already growing by running the plugins it already has and optimizing the drivers. Although level is just an unimportant part of growth for Noah and is driven up unintentionally, it is not slower than other Pokémon's improvement. And more importantly, the battle between the software layers does not depend on actual combat effectiveness. Noah, who had just hatched, was able to cooperate with Dr. Eri to suppress Chakra, which was said to be a genius in this area, so that the control system of the Saint Tinu never completely collapsed. Even if the cargo ship's control system is now AI based, it will certainly not be able to stop Noah's intrusion. How far can you do it? Can you control some functions without knowing it? Or can you paralyze the control system? Eminem asked quickly. If it's just the latter, it's of limited use. Because there must be a backup plan for manual control. Back then, the control room on the Sentinel was also blown up in cooperation. If I only invade some functions, I won't be discovered. Even if I'm discovered, I can completely trap the polygons here in the system. Noah's function in this area is very powerful. Against ordinary polygons, he is completely crushed. Pressure the situation. You first block the Pokémon radar. By the way, can you make the polygon here unable to detect this signal? Eminem said, pointing to the glasses on his ears. Okay, Noah said, and it had turned into a mosaic and flowed into a corner of the cargo hold. There is a monitor. Before, Eminem was not discovered because Nazi was distorting the surrounding light. There is an external interface on this monitor, and it is also connected to the control system. So Noah hacked in from here. Your polygon. Nazi frowned. Although she had seen this abnormal polygon on the Santanu, its function seems to be more powerful now. Obviously Eminem is not a programmer. Having said that, Eminem also remembered that Noah was also related to the Schindler group in the Hesu area, coupled with the now exposed Stan Industries. It seems that the Dark Organization also has many allies. Thinking about what ZioAI said before, the Dark Organization seems to have never lacked strong teammates during the years of confrontation with the Alliance, and it is not all relying on fake and bad wine. Noah has some relationship with the Schindler group. Don't let it out. Eminem warned Nazi. Nazi sneered and agreed. Is it okay if Sakaki doesn't tell me either? Eminem asked eagerly. Nazi didn't say anything, and Eminem knew that this was his acquiescence. Otherwise he would have shouted, "You're dreaming." Speaking of, the Hezhang area seems to be in chaos. It's obviously the headquarters of the Junsha clan. Eminem was also a little puzzled at this time. There are many ancient forces left in the Hezhang area, and isn't it just because the headquarters of the Junsha clan is there that it is easier to get into chaos? Nazi said sarcastically. After thinking about it, Amu understood that the Hezhang Alliance and Junsha headquarters are probably not of the same mind, and the parties cannot simply be divided into two camps. Chapter 579. What is this? Hey, have you been discovered? Why did it take so long? ZioAI asked quickly, after connecting to Amu's signal. No, I met Nazi. Eminem just said. Hinata immediately shouted. What? Is Natsu here? Run away. Little lightning bird is no match for her. Slim shady. Well, Hinata always felt that Team Rocket was causing trouble here, and as expected Eminem was discovered by Nazi. Who is this? Nazi asked coldly. Originally, Nazi was about to have a seizure on the spot, but fortunately, she later calmed down a little when Hinata said, "Little lightning bird is no match for me either." Nazi was deeply ashamed of being attacked by Lightning Bird and Darkrai before, and had to shrink down and escape. Not to mention a little Lightning Bird. If they really open up the battle and face off, even if they face two mythical beasts, Nazi will not be caught on the spot, and if it was in his own gym, the one who escaped would not be Nazi. Therefore, Nazi has always been brooding over her previous miss. Although the unknown woman opposite her had a weird tone when referring to herself, at least she was discerning, and her words were not as off target as someone else's. Listen, the ranger who came with us, Hinata, I have discovered that there are guys wearing Team Flare uniforms here, and Nazi is also here to investigate this matter. Eminem explained to both sides, Team Flare, Ranger, Hinata, and Nazi was stunned for a moment, then seemed to think of something. I see, Hinata thought about the rumors that there was a more mysterious organization in Team Flare. As a ranger, she knew a lot of secrets, and Nazi thought, no wonder someone heard that the ranger was investigating the Lake of Anger and immediately cooperated with all his strength. It turned out that he was still so popular. Point of course, Hinata didn't believe in Team Rocket so easily. Point it's just that Nazi is right next to Eminem. For Eminem's safety, she can't directly question anything. Zaro. AI, let me describe to you what is here. Please confirm which ones are useful. Eminem ignored them and talked about business with Zaro AI. Lee's wireless communication device has strong concealment in the Pokémon world and is incomparable to ordinary wireless signals. However, the transmission efficiency of the signal is limited, and it can only support calls and cannot support video. As for why little girl was asked to identify such a thing, both Nazi and Hinata were already familiar with it. Inside this box is a transparent container half a person's height, with purple liquid inside. There is information in this cabinet, which is written in such a way that I can't understand what it is. The column on the left is full of numbers, and on the right is written, damn it. Sure enough, a living Pokémon experiment was conducted. I will definitely take this away as evidence. Zaro. AI listened to Eminem's unprofessional description, but still distinguished one by one what she needed. If there was a fight, it would be impossible to take away everything in such a large cargo hold. Huh. What is this? It looks like an electronic device. After you press the switch, there is a 3-minute countdown. Zaro. AI, that should be a bomb. Didn't I tell you not to move? Zaro AI covered her face and said, fortunately, there are still 3 minutes left. Eminem turned to look at Nazi. Nazi looked at him expressionlessly for 3 seconds, and then said helplessly, give it to me. I saw Nazi taking the bomb and then teleporting away. Otherwise, even if Eminem is protected by Leoka's power and is not afraid of being exploded in the face, he is always worried that things here will be blown up. Eminem continued to be in the cargo hold, sorting out things that were easy to take away and must be taken away. But at this moment, the door of the cargo compartment was suddenly opened, and Eminem hurriedly hid. It was none other than Jin, who discovered that a bomb had been activated, and as soon as they came in, Jin and Vodka saw the messy cargo hold. The next moment, sculled with a loud bird song, the little lightning bird rushed out directly, rushing towards Jin with lightning and thunder all over his body. However, in this flash of lightning, Jin still reacted. At the moment he was hit by Zyara Flash, a shield opened in front of Jin and Vodka. It was the shield sword monster shield form, coupled with the instant activation of King's Shield. A barrier spread from the shield in Jin's hand, blocking Zyodian's attack. Although Jin and Vodka were knocked upside down, they did block the direct attack from the front. Damn it, it's you again. When Jin saw the little lightning bird, he already knew who the infiltrator was from Jin's perspective. Maybe it's Eminem who's been tracking him. Little Flash, don't compete with the shield, just go around and attack the trainer. Eminem immediately ordered. Although Nazi left at an untimely time, Eminem didn't feel too sorry. He just heard Hinata mention Little Lightning Bird and Eminem reacted. Although Nazi is comparable to 100 super powerful Gyarados, but if Nazi is around, Flash cannot be released. After all, Nazi hasn't avenged her last revenge yet. This is Eminem. If Zero Shen had been followed by another trainer, Nazi would have taken action directly. But even Eminem, if Little Lightning Bird is released, Nazi will not pretend not to see it. Don't expect her to temporarily share the same enemy with Zero Flash for the sake of the Dark Organization, and just the Dark Organization. The degree of hatred in Nazi's heart is limited, unless it's Belmont who controls Dark Racer. Although Nazi is A strong support. Eminem can't use Zapdos at all when Nazi is around. Now that Nazi is not here, Eminem thinks it would be nice to be able to send Zyodian out to fight normally. After all, Jin's strength is still not as good as Nazi's. Before, it could only be considered the top among the Heavenly Kings, and could not form a lineup of 6 all great Heavenly Kings. It would be nice to be able to escape from the hands of the little Zapdos, but now, Jin's main force was downsized not long ago, so it should be go. Giant Pincer Mantis, Servant Sword General, I saw Jinji releasing 2 more steel type Pokémon one after another. Among them, Swordsman was one that Eminem had never seen Jin use before. Coupled with the shield sword monster in his hand, these 3 Pokémon are Jin's current main force, with Jin's own trainer talent bonus at the same time. Another 3 were also released. Even without the trainer bonus, there is always strength in numbers. The standard 3+3 lineup has not been affected by the previous loss. They are Boscadora, Meowabus, Armored Bird. Eminem couldn't help but be startled when he saw this. Jin had previously lost one of his trump cards, Steel Armor Crow, and Guard Dragon, a means of transportation. Ordinarily, even if there are still candidate Pokémon that can complete the 6, one should be selected from the submain force to be added to the main force, and then 2 from the candidate Pokémon should be selected to be added to the sub-main force. That's right. Why did you directly replace a Servant Sword General into the main lineup? And this Servant Sword General is actually not weak, even stronger than the Giant Pincer Mantis. Then why didn't you bring it with you before? Eggs laid. The Armor Bird should be supplemented as a flying mount. At this time, it does not perform well in a narrow cabin, but it is still above the standard. When Eminem saw this, some confusion appeared on his face. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 580 Malay. Amu started a war with Jin, and naturally the other people on the ship were immediately alerted. Eminem stopped pretending and ordered the surrounding Gyarados to take action. Facing the Gyarados coming up from all around, Team Flare's minions were immediately restrained. From the sound of the wireless communicator, ZioAI and others also knew that Amu had been exposed, so they immediately rushed towards the cargo ship. At the same time, an explosion sounded from afar. It was the uninhabited place where Nazi had sent the bomb. Oops, the power of this bomb. There should be more than one. ZioAI visually inspected it from a distance. This bomb would at most cause the ship to malfunction and not even sink immediately. It would not be able to wipe away all traces. This is not Jin's style, so there must be other bombs deployed. What's going on? Why isn't the Pokémon radar responding? The control system is also paralyzed. Damn it. Before losing control, all the doors were locked. Hurry, reopen all the hatches. Stop trying. Just switch to manual control. There was chaos on board. We meet again, Jin. What a coincidence. At this time, Eminem's body was already flashing light wall, and he was not worried about being directly attacked by Jin's Pokémon. Eminem and Jin have a lot of personal grudges. When he was at Dr. Zenghu's place, Eminem was even kidnapped by him. What? You're not going to seduce me this time? Eminem deliberately mocked. Eminem was still in the dressing room at that time, and mistakenly thought that the figure of Jin was a woman. However, Jin ignored Eminem's provocation at this time, and concentrated on defending against the attack of the little lightning bird. Vodka. Go and ask the guys outside to hold on. Pour those out. Jin said to Vodka, who had released his Pokémon and wanted to help. Ah, okay. Vodka was stunned for a moment, then immediately ran out. Eminem sent out Mega Bulbasaur to symbolically stop him, but he couldn't stop him at all. Jin in the cabin passage continued to confront the little lightning bird. Electrocute you to death. Electrocute you to death. Let me defend you. You can still defend, right? After the little lightning bird was frustrated, he became obviously unhappy and urged Eminem, quick, give me one of my mother's hairs. Slim Shady. Eminem did not meet Zio-Shin's request, not because he felt sorry for Thunder Feather, but he is currently in the cabin below the deck, stimulating the power of Thunder Feather. Here, the risk is obviously too high. Even with Wall of Light, Eminem might not be able to hold on. During the previous incident on the Santino, Xiao Feng's full attack could make Eminem feel numb. It doesn't matter, just hold on, and don't let this guy escape. Eminem comforted Xiao Shen. Eminem just heard the explosion in the distance and knew that Nazi was coming back soon. At the same time, after Vodka came to the deck, he saw Gyarados all around him. Although the minions of Team Flare had a numerical advantage, they could no longer hold on point. While Vodka sent his Pokémon to support, he shouted to the members of Team Flare who had just brought up some things, "Quick, break all the things inside and throw them out." What? How is that possible? This is the final product. The protests from the researchers on the side did not make Vodka change his mind, and the people of Team Flare naturally followed Vodka's orders. Hinata, who was riding Gyarados, saw purple flowers blooming around the cargo ship and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Not good." Apparently, Hinata also realized that the other party was so anxious that he used that smoke directly on the battlefield. But Xiao AI is not in a hurry at this time. No, this is not necessarily because they took advantage. Xiao AI said pointedly point, and after the Team Flare minions on the ship spread the reagent, not only the wild Pokémon, the shrouded Pokémon, even their own Pokémon, had purple lights flashing in their eyes at this time, and there were faint signs of losing control. V-Boss, Vodka. The members of Team Flare were also a little panicked. "Idiot. Try to restrain your Pokémon. Don't let them get on the boat. Now, they are also in chaos," Vodka shouted at the top of his voice. For these ordinary members of Team Flare, Vodka is also a card of point. Soon the effect of Vodka's doing this became apparent. Although the hostility of wild Pokémon becomes more obvious towards humans after being affected by the purple smoke, but there are too many Gyarados around, so it is inevitable that they will still fight with each other. The Pokémon of Team Flare on the ship were naturally involved, but the big melee was clearly better for Team Flare, who was in a disadvantageous situation than the previous camp, or so they originally thought. Vodka was still thinking, as expected of his eldest brother, he is so smart. However, the next moment, I saw bursts of light appearing on the surrounding lake. What? This is. Vodka was stunned when he saw this, and then realized that this seemed to be the light of evolution. That's right. After listening to Xiao AI's previous words, Eminem gathered many Magikarp Kings, specifically selecting those who are over level 20, or even in their 20s and 30s, but have not yet evolved. The evolution of King Magikarp is also quite typical among Pokémon. It is a representative sudden advanced type of evolution. It directly transformed from a Pokémon that was completely unable to fight like Magikarp King to Gyarados, which has the highest racial value among non-quasi-mythical beasts, and is suitable for fighting. This is also one of the reasons why this secret research institute currently uses Gyarados as a research object. However, King Carp is not easy to evolve, let alone the wild ones. Even if it is artificially trained, it is not easy for King Carp to evolve. When Xiaoxia conquered King Carp, she also went through several selections. Not only do most of the King Magikarp fail to reach the level 20 growth required for evolution, but also, reaching level 20 does not mean that they can evolve. Other Pokémon also generally have delayed evolution, that is, they are not able to evolve immediately after reaching the minimum growth requirement for evolution. Wild Pokémon will basically evolve with delay. This is even more true for King Magikarp. Among the few King Magikarp who can reach level 20, very few evolve in the end. Now trainers also know that anger and fighting spirit are the conditions that catalyze the evolution of King Magikarp. The Magikarp in Lake of Anger has evolved a lot, which is the second reason why this research institute is set up here. At this time, under the reagent, a large number of King Carp began to evolve, regardless of these level 20s or 30s. The newly evolved King Magikarp is nothing to Eminem, but in terms of combat power, it is also a competition level. It is not so easy to ignore these little minions, and more importantly, there are too many. I saw densely packed Gyarados surrounding the boat, so crowded that I could hardly see the lake. Chapter 581 Explosion. On the deck of Team Flare's transport ship, and on the surrounding lake, there was a melee. Countless Gyarados are biting each other, spraying flames at each other, and tailing each other with water. Although Gyarados is a water type, it likes to breathe fire. Even like many fire type Pokémon, it does not use the skill can also breathe out fire. Although most of the Gyarados present were barely qualified, with this number, it was obviously impossible to drive the ship away. On the contrary, the members of Team Flare were gradually retreating, becoming more and more the more Gyarados kill on the deck. In other words, the melee battlefield gradually spread to the deck point. However, at this moment, there was only a loud noise, and a big hole was blasted out of the deck from bottom to top. Then Amu was seen flying up with one of Xiao-Shen's paws, and at the same time shouted, "Everyone run away. It's going to explode." What? An explosion? Who is this guy? Why is he on the boat? Flash, Zapdos. The members of Team Flare were just shocked by the appearance of Eminem and the appearance of Lightning Bird. He didn't pay much attention to what he shouted point, but as Eminem shouted, an invisible energy field spread out in all directions. It was Eminem who used all his mental power, even overdrafting, to unleash the effect of the Dragon Scale Talisman. As a result, the frantic Gyarados who were originally affected by the effect of Reagent R, but also commanded by the effect of Dragon Ancestor, retreated a little calmer. Eminem didn't expect that bastard Jin would actually trigger the bomb, and when the countdown to the bomb came on, Eminem realized that the number was more exaggerated than he had imagined. Moreover, Jin controlled all the bombs in front of Eminem for half a minute, and then directly crushed the remote control. Maybe as long as you keep an eye on the time, Jin can ensure your own safety by using the King's Shield. Eminem has the Dragon Scale Wall of Light to protect his body, so he should be fine. No matter how many bombs there are, it's just a matter of the damage range. Eminem doesn't think that the power can be superimposed, and the skill of Zyodian using Thunder Feather is so strong point, but the problem is other people. Although the ordinary minions of Team Flare are not worthy of death, they blow themselves up, and Eminem is not guilty enough to save them. Eminem is not very sympathetic to those guys in Stan Group who conduct experiments on living subjects, but there is also Gyarados, although it's not Eminem's Pokémon, since it was Eminem who called it. Eminem feels that he should be responsible point. Although this world has a protection mechanism, these bombs should not be as special as the red and blue mixed bombs in Pramire, but with this explosion density, Eminem feels that there will still be heavy casualties. So Eminem immediately asked the little lightning bird to break out, ignoring Jin's obstruction. Originally, Eminem was always ordering Gyarados to retreat, but due to the effect of the RE agent, Dragon Ancestor, S orders became less effective. No. To be precise, the limited effect of Dragon Ancestor that Eminem's mental power could exert became less effective. Hence the current scene, with Eminem's full strength, the surrounding Gyarados finally dispersed. Seeing this scene, the members of the Flare team on the ship and the researchers also panicked. They each quickly thought of a solution, but this had nothing to do with Eminem. At the same time, Xiao-Shen was suddenly startled and found that Eminem actually let go and fell down. When I looked down, I realized that Eminem seemed to have fainted. Originally, Xiao-Shen was full of disdain and wanted to let him fall, but his expression changed immediately, and he immediately dived down and caught Amu on his back. Dog human. You still want me to carry you? I'm so angry, so angry. No one was listening to Xiao-Shen's noise at this time. Just now, Xiao-Shen heard the voice transmission of Kaoparis at the last moment. Xiao-Shen originally thought that even if Eminem fell, the monster would protect him. But Leoka told her that when Eminem lost consciousness, he could not appear in this world, even with only partial strength. This is not normal sleeping or being knocked out, but a faint caused by Eminem's own overdraft of mental energy. When Eminem and Tomoyo exchanged bodies before, they did not hinder the connection with Leoka. It is precisely because the connection between the two relies on the spiritual body. Therefore, this is one of Eminem's weaknesses. After hearing Leoka's last message, Xiao-Shen immediately caught Eminem. Just when Xiao-Shen flew up again, a deafening explosion was heard. Even Xiao-Feng, who was flying, felt a strong updraft and couldn't help but fly erratically. The group of Gyarados that had originally dispersed were now pushed far away by the walls of water that had been blown up. The Gyarados in the inner circle were actually not weak from the impact. Fortunately, they were already some distance away, and most of them defended in time, forming a collective defense, so there were no casualties. Jin had also flown out at this time, taking his little brother Vodka with him, riding on the back of the armored bird. Glancing at the lightning bird flying higher, Jin's eyes hesitated for a moment. It looked like Eminem had fainted. Do you want to try? At this time, Jin's intuition told him that it didn't seem to be very dangerous. However, for the sake of caution, Jin did not launch a direct attack, but took a step far away from the direction Zyodian was facing. Jin felt that if the huge dragon really appeared, it would definitely attack him, and at this distance, Jin felt that he had a good chance of escaping. However, the giant velociraptor did not appear, which made Jin even more suspicious. Could it be that when Eminem fainted, he would not be able to call out the giant velociraptor? Similar situations are actually not uncommon. In some special cases, where divine beasts can be summoned, there is basically no automatic protection effect when fainting. The lack of reaction from Eminem in front of him made Jin very murderous. Of course, Zyoshen didn't get it for nothing. When he saw Jin, he flew over directly, and crackled was a burst of random electricity. This recklessness made Jin hesitate. It's not like he has no ability to fight back. Then Xiaodafeng's movement was too big, and he accidentally threw Eminem off. He quickly turned back in the air, and caught it again. This time, he showed his timidity, and Jin was immediately worried, although he couldn't deal with a little Zapdo. But, under the hands of a little Zapdo, who was not very protective, he killed the trainer who had fainted. Jin thought it would be a challenge, but at this moment, Jinjiu's heart jumped suddenly, and a sense of crisis came over. Chapter 582 Intimidation. If possible, Jin dare not attack the researchers of Stan Industries on a large scale, otherwise Howard would definitely not give up. But Jin will not watch as these people fall into the hands of the Alliance or Junsha. Howard should also understand this, although the old thing will definitely still make use of the topic. This is not enough to make Jin hesitate. Using the method of bomb kidnapping, Jin was indeed scared away and even severely injured Eminem unexpectedly. Jin found that Eminem had completely fainted, and the giant dragon showed no intention of appearing, so he wanted to try and see if he could kill Eminem under the hands of the little lightning bird. For this reason, it doesn't hurt to break off one or two more Pokémon, as long as the shield sword monster and the armor bird he wants to take away are fine. But at this moment, Jin's intuition suddenly sounded a warning. The next moment, a shadow of a huge Gyarados flying in the sky enveloped Jin. Jin looked up somewhat sluggishly and saw a red boss Gyarados flying above his head. The reason why I know it is a boss is because this Gyarados is indeed too big. Even though the individual size of aquatic Pokémon is likely to be larger than normal, but this one is 20 or 30 meters long, which is still too big. It's all red, and it's even more dazzlingly red. It's not even just the color of the skin, but something crystal clear and bright red. Compared to the heterochromatic Gyarados, it looks more like a Gyarados. The body surface is covered with a layer of red armor. At the same time, a figure in red was standing on its huge head, 2 or 3 meters wide. Of course it is Nazi. I saw Nazi's eyes flashing red at this time, as if even her body was shrouded in red light. The originally black straight hair behind her was now lighter in color. If you look carefully, you can see that there is a faint glow in her twinkling pupils. There are some black lines. In fact, if you look more carefully, you will find that the red dress on Nazi's body is actually somewhat damaged, but her whole body is also covered in red light at this time, so it is not easy to notice. Just now, the bomb that Nazi took away was actually detonated in advance by Jin. The moment he saw Eminem, Jin confirmed that the bomb was triggered by Eminem, so Jin's first reaction was to detonate the bomb immediately. If the bomb was in Eminem's hand at that time and he hadn't had time to open the shield, then it would be a bloody gain. This is also why Jin can immediately defend against the attack of little lightning bird. He originally wanted to block the aftermath of the explosion. However, it was Nazi who was bombed. Although the time was almost up, there were still 10 seconds left. So Nazi was not in a hurry. As a result, I immediately ate it and fried it, having experienced being attacked by a sneak attack before. Nazi learned from the experience and was well prepared. The eternal flame in Nanga Shrine was taken away by Eminem, but Natsu also discovered many secret techniques of the Uchiha clan in it, not only the training methods for Pokémon awakening skills, there are also some powerful methods for cultivating super trainer abilities if Zio-Shan and Belmo team up for another sneak attack. The result may be different. At the moment, when the bomb exploded, Natsu used her mental power to defend herself, using the secret mental defense technique in Nanga Shrine. The efficiency of using mental power to defend was much higher than before. Therefore, he did not suffer any injuries, and he immediately called the Gyarados King in the Lake of Anger, the same Gyarados that Eminem failed to call before. What Eminem doesn't know is that it has transformed into a boss Pokémon. In the Nanga Shrine, Natsu found a very effective method of fighting the bow against the boss Pokémon. If she had to fight head on, Nazi would definitely not be a match for the boss Pokémon on her own. Even if she learned some secret techniques, she would only be able to withstand a few attacks from king level Pokémon with her mental strength at most, and her attack power would be as good as there is no comparison with a king level Pokémon, let alone this Gyarados, which is already a king level Pokémon. But this does not mean that Natsu's mental strength is weak, it's just that human beings don't have a means to effectively use spiritual power. The secret technique of the Uchiha clan that Natsu found can be regarded as an indirect method of use. It can not only be used to attack the boss Pokémon, but also to attack the boss Pokémon. Recently in the Lake of Anger, Natsu gave it a try, and found that she could even control this great king level Gyarados. If this Gyarados king wanted to be subdued by force, Natsu would have to go through a lot of tricks, but now, she directly controlled it one-on-one, and combined with the power of power, you can cooperate with the boss Pokémon to greatly exert your mental power, greatly increasing the defense of the Gyarados, and the defense spreads to Natsu. It's simply a wild fighting skill. Natsu had just been bombed, and immediately called out Gyarados King, and then rushed back angrily. However, just halfway through, I saw the entire ship exploded, and then I saw Eminem fainting on the back of that damn lightning bird. Looking at the Gyarados scattered away, Natsu could also guess some of the reasons why Eminem fainted. Go away. Natsu looked at Zio-Shan and said with suppressed anger, if Eminem were sober now, Natsu would definitely beat up Zio-Shan and Jin, but now seeing Zio-Shan carrying the unconscious Amu on her back, Natsu had no choice but to suppress some of her anger. Zio-Shan was still a little dissatisfied, but he felt that there was someone on his back, so he had to use telepathy to say, what are you pulling? Wait until I go and put this human dog down, don't leave. Zio-Shan said, and flew in the direction of Zio-AI and others. When they saw the big explosion, they were also startled, and then rushed here even more anxiously, and even, at this moment, Sakura flew towards Zio-Shan. Obviously Sakura is already ready to take action directly. But at this moment, Zio-Shan swayed his body, and threw Eminem directly in the direction of Sakura. The dog human is here for you, pick it up. Hey, wait. Hey. Sakura hurriedly caught Eminem, and she was badly hit. After all, in addition to Eminem himself, he was also carrying a big bag, which contained the evidence collected. Unnecessary information. Zio-Shan turned around and flew back. Sakura caught Eminem, and had to fall down first to put Eminem in place. At the same time, the red light in the sky kept flashing, and Natsu, who used the power of power, and cooperated with the Gyarados King, was now 1 against 2. Completely suppressing the little Zapdos and Jin. Of course, Zio-Shan was also fighting 1 against 2 at this time, including Natsu and Jin within the attack scope. Only Jin wanted to evacuate. And after discovering that Natsu and Little Lightning Bird had not joined forces, they began to deliberately cause conflicts between the two. For Natsu, catching Jin is just a task, and there is a personal feud between her and Zio-Shan. Which one is more important? It's obvious, but Chapter 583 Awakening. Eminem also woke up soon, and before the body wakes up, the consciousness wakes up first. Therefore, before opening his eyes, Eminem had contacted Leocat and asked him, have you caught Jin? But he was slapped hard by Leocat. After listening to Leocat's words, Eminem also broke into a cold sweat. Only then did Eminem know that the old card had also dropped a flying just now. Originally, Eminem thought that Leocat could protect him even if he fainted. When I was asleep before, couldn't you sense the outside world? Eminem quickly confirmed. Asleep, mentally exhausted, same. Leoka came out with a hint of ridicule intermittently. Only then did Eminem realize that Leoka was unable to appear or establish contact with him when he was mentally exhausted. To put it more professionally, whether falling asleep or being knocked out is just the sleep of the mental body or the astral body, while the overdrawn spirit is the dropping of the mental body. The contract between myself and Leoka is based on the spiritual body, so when Eminem is asleep, Leoka can also feel the outside world through Eminem's spirit, but when Eminem is mentally exhausted, Leoka can't sense him either. Fortunately, nothing happened. Eminem didn't expect that he would find a weakness by accident. After discovering that Leoka also didn't know what happened, Eminem woke up completely as soon as possible and opened his eyes physically. As a result, he found himself lying on Tomoyo's lap below. When he opened his eyes, he saw Tomoyo startled. Maybe he didn't expect that he would wake up so quickly. However, Tomoyo quickly looked away and sat upright, while Eminem was still thinking about what happened before, and didn't pay much attention to it. After Eminem got up, he looked around, and found that he was in Landbridge Forest in the lake. With a slight movement of spirit, Eminem knew that he had not been unconscious for long, only about 2 hours. Still, in the lake of anger, Tomoyo said calmly. At this moment, Sakura jumped down from the tree and said at the same time, "I'll set it up. Are you awake already? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere?" Just now, in order to let Eminem rest better, Sakura went to set up a treehouse tent and left Eminem in the care of Tomoyo. "I'm fine, little Flash. Where's Jin?" Eminem touched his chest first and found that the lightning bird ball was already in a stored state, but Little Flash ignored him, so he asked about what happened after the explosion. That guy with long hair, he escaped. Sakura said, "Hey, by the way, why hasn't Nazi come back?" Eminem also felt something was wrong at this time. Now thinking about it, it seems that the bomb she took away exploded a little too early. You just fainted, and Nazi came back, riding a big red Gyarados. Sakura described. Then, how come Jin can escape? Eminem wondered. Sakura also smiled and told Eminem what happened before. Although Nazi blasted Jin, but for Nazi, what's more important is that the blaster made a small dodge. A small dodge without Thunder Feather was directly hit by Nazis to the point of shutting down. That's why I'm ignoring Eminem now. And Jin, it was then that he took the opportunity to escape. Sakura tried to give chase, but just then the fog card appeared, and Sakura had to conquer the claw card first. When it comes to Nazi, Sakura is a little unconvinced. Nazi had hammered Little Flash back into the lightning bird ball before stopping, and warned Hinata not to meddle in other people's business. Seeing that Nazi was being domineering, Tomoyo reminded her, implying that the secret research institute was located here and Team Rocket might be involved, but in the end, she was beaten by Nazi. "Where's Hinata? You're not going to chase Jin, are you?" Eminem asked hurriedly when he found that Hinata wasn't around either. "That's not true. Hinata is going to guide Gyarados. It is said that too many Gyarados have evolved in one breath this time, which may affect the ecology of the Lake of Wrath. After confirming that you are just overdrafting your spirit, Hinata guides the evolved Gyarados went further north." Sakura explained. Although there are many Gyarados in Lake of Wrath, they are not everywhere. The hundreds of Gyarados that evolved in one go are almost 1/3 to half of the number in the entire Lake of Wrath. At that time, many Gyarados had already dispersed. If they waited for those Gyarados to disperse throughout the Lake of Anger, it would not be easy to lure them away. So after Hinata made sure that Eminem was fine, she couldn't wait any longer. He wakes up. As for the boss Gyarados that Nazi forcibly captured, Hinata was not too surprised. With the environmental carrying capacity of the Lake of Anger, it can accommodate 1 or 2 boss Pokémon. Gyarados is the leader registered in the Rangers Association. At first, Hinata thought it was a different colored Gyarados boss, which was not registered, but after the war, the boss Gyarados changed back to its normal color, which seemed to be some kind of ability of Nazi. Hinata specifically asked Nazi to take the Gyarados King away, and also reminded her not to let it level up any further. It was then that Nazi was cruel to her. However, Nazi finally took the Gyarados away. In this way, although there were many Gyarados that had dispersed before they had time to guide them, the loss of one Gyarados also reduced the pressure on the environment a lot. In total, it won't have much impact. Nazi also did not wait for Eminem to wake up and left first after confirming that he could not die. In addition, Nazi and Hinata each took away part of the information in Amu's backpack before leaving. Eminem's backpack contained important evidence, experimental data and materials collected. After ZOAI identified them, he handed them over what could be used as evidence. Although Hinata was a little worried because she also saw a sample of the reagent in her backpack, but seeing how ZOAI was protecting the food, she couldn't force it. After all, it was Eminem who brought the things out, and judging from his meaning, it was originally meant to be given to ZOAI. Where is ZOAI? After Amu asked, he also discovered that ZOAI was in the treehouse tent. So I climbed up and found that ZOAI was using a portable computer to compare various data. It's a pity that Jin escaped, Eminem whispered. However, ZOAI was not distracted and just said HMM. Obviously, to her, the information in front of her was more important. Did you find anything? Eminem was worried that she was too tired, so he had to deliberately distract her and asked. Although ZOAI frowned for a while, he still replied, the reagent is different from the mutation-inducing agent provided to Ibrahimovic, but the early products of the two are the same. In all likelihood, it is this research institute previous products. ZOAI has confirmed her previous guess. Dang dang. Double monthly pass on the last day. Please give me a monthly pass. Please give me a monthly pass. Chapter 584 Monitoring. A set of data here from a year ago is basically the Q reagent used in Ibrahimovic's experiment. Its principle of action is closely related to the emotional factors during the evolution of King Magikarp. It should have been studied here, but starting 2 years ago, the data changed dramatically. Although the middle part was deliberately deleted, I speculate that another gene should be used as research material. This is how the current reagent was developed. ZOAI pointed it out to Eminem. Although the system is different and this is not a medicine, as a pharmacist, Eminem also saw some tricks under ZOAI's guidance. In other words, the predecessor of this reagent is the catalyst used in the Ibrahimovic experiment, and the Ibrahimovic experiment is part of App 9527. Unfortunately, I can no longer access APTX4869's data. ZOAI said with a headache. When she was at Zhenghu Research Institute, she was lucky to be able to protect herself. Of course, she had no chance to take away any information. Although Shirley was already the person in charge of the experiment at the time, given the scale of the experiment, there was no experimental information or data. We could only know the general framework, based on the human brain's memory alone. Not to mention that the development of APTX4869 has been going on for a long time, but Shirley has only been involved in the experiment for more than a year, and has only been the director of a branch experiment for a few months. Remember, does the Dark Organization have the habit of saving data in an independent network? Should I ask Noah to try it? Eminem remembered at this time that the programmer at the Twin Towers had access to the dark network. Because of the external network the organization's network led to assassination. It was also that time when he accidentally brought Noah out. It's impossible. Even if you have Noah, you must at least have the account of an insider of the Dark Organization. And I believe that after the last time, the Dark Organization should have improved access to non-authentication ports. ZOAI shook his head and said, but then ZOAI said more optimistically, it's not bad to have these. The experiment of stabilizing Ibrahimovic's genes can be carried forward, although the information taken out was only part of it. It was all that ZOAI felt was more important. EV, of course, refers to the mutated EV. Its emotional instability was caused by evolutionary experiments. Now that there is data on the Q reagent as a catalyst, Zio AI also has some new ideas at this moment. Eminem suddenly thought of something. A year ago, Q reagent obtained data from other experiments, which further transformed it into the current R reagent point when it comes to the impact of genetic variation on emotions and thinking. In addition to Gyarados, that needs anger to evolve, Eminem also knows an extreme example. Mutuo. Could it be that reagent R obtained Mutuo's research data, considering that Uncle Liu may have cooperated with them? This is not impossible. However, Eminem didn't plan to go to Liu for verification. He just planned to wait for a signal later and then send it to Nazi. Do you know what the people at Stan Industries want to do? Amu asked curiously. Since we came here and developed the R reagent based on the Q reagent. In other words, the effect of the R reagent should have nothing to do with the Ibrahimovic experiment. The two are different development routes, although Eminem has no enmity with Stan Industries, since this guy has contact with the Dark Organization, and is also conducting illegal experiments in the Lake of Anger, and was broken by himself. He is obviously an enemy category. Eminem also wants to know what the purpose of this new enemy is. The most critical part is hidden by encryption, and the R reagent is only a semi-finished product, and the final purpose cannot be clearly seen. However, what is certain is that the R reagent has a stronger impact on this place than the Q reagent provided to me. Zio AI said, pointed to his head, and continued. The EV experiment, as a preparatory experiment for APTX 4869, is to continue to deepen its impact on genes. By the way, listen to this first. I hope it will be useful. Eminem said and unscrewed a section of his spectacles. Huh. Are you pretending to be Jin? Zio AI couldn't help but be startled after understanding what Amu meant. Zio AI had also guessed that Eminem had installed a monitor on the other party, so she let herself play back and listen. No, I took the opportunity to put it on vodka. Fortunately, Jin rescued him in the end. Eminem released garlic to stop vodka just for this reason. How could garlic stop vodka? I just took the opportunity to use vines to place the monitor. The signal of the monitor, like the signal of wireless communication, is very concealed. Dr. Allah's invention is still very practical, but I can't listen to it for long because the range of this wireless signal is limited. Even if gin and vodka are not discovered, at most they can only hear the conversation before leaving the range. I hope they said something useful. Eminem had difficulty operating the glasses, so after Zio AI took them, he connected them to a special interface and plugged them into the computer, so he could drag the progress go directly to the beginning. Quick. Break everything inside and throw it out. What? How is that possible? This is the final product. It started out as the sound on the boat, and then Zio AI kept fast forwarding until after the huge explosion, Big Brother. Vodka was so moved that Big Brother came to save him. Huh. Brother, shall we go back? That kid seems to be dizzy. Let me test it out. Ha. As expected, that monster can't come out now. Try. Ha. What is it? Only then did Eminem know that Jin had indeed discovered his weakness, but I'm afraid he didn't know it clearly. He might have thought that, as long as he was asleep, he would not be able to contact Leocat, so maybe you can take advantage of his misunderstanding. Ah, you from Team Flare? Or a dark organization? Where is that bitch Bell mode? Nazis. Voice sounded at this moment. As expected, she was still worried about the previous sneak attack point. Then there was an audio only fight. From the sound effects alone, Eminem could feel that the roaring Gyarados had a huge advantage point until there was a sound of lightning and thunder. Eminem guessed that this should be Zio Shen's voice. The monitor obviously couldn't hear her telepathy point, but Eminem always felt that after Zio Shen joined the battle became even more chaotic. Ha, she is indeed the super queen. It seems that Bell mode really took advantage of the sneak attack last time. Otherwise, even if she joins forces with Lightning Bird, it would be impossible to severely damage you. Jin deliberately provoked at this time point. Sure enough, the sounds of lightning, thunder, and roaring became more and more intense, and Jin seemed to take the opportunity to escape, and instead moved away from these sounds. Slim Shady. Eminem probably already understands why he let Jin run away, but finally, after a flurry of rumors, some useful clues finally came out. Brother, your injury. Vodka said nervously. Apparently Jin wasn't unscathed either. It doesn't matter, you contact Pisk and ask him to deal with that guy directly, otherwise the ship will find him sooner or later. There will be a memorial service for the director in a few days, right? He will definitely have a chance then. Big brother. After Jin finished speaking, he seemed to faint from weakness from then on until it was out of range. It was the sound of Vodka rescuing. Chapter 585, locking the target. Pisk. Have you heard of it? Amu confirmed to ZOAI. Well, I have the impression that I must have heard this name when I was a child. He is an old member of the organization. ZOAI nodded. Who is that guy? Jin can't explain it more clearly. Eminem scratched his head. It should be someone who can be traced along the cargo ship, so Jin is worried about finding him. ZOAI knew very well that he wanted to prevent the Alliance and Junsha from getting more information about the organization from that guy. The best way to find clues is to silence him directly. This is also the consistent style of dark organizations, especially Jin. We going to do something at the director's memorial service. It seems we have to set off as soon as possible. First we go to the Pokémon service point on the North Shore. After borrowing the signal, we can find out which director has passed away recently. Eminem said, already urging ZOAI to put things away first. Are you leaving now? You don't need to rest more. And it's already afternoon. Sakura was a little surprised when she heard that Eminem was going to leave immediately. No, I just learned something important. Those criminals may want to target people related to the cargo ship. We have to go to a place with signal. I will check online. Amu said quickly. As soon as she heard that someone might be hurt, Sakura immediately dismantled and put away the tent she had just set up. Then Eminem and his 4-person team took to Gyarados and traveled for 12 hours, arriving in the early morning. Visited a Pokémon service point on the North Shore. The north bank of the Lake of Anger, like Ubi Town in the northeastern mountains, is already the northernmost border area of the Chengdu region. Moreover, there are no cities or towns on the north shore of the Lake of Wrath, only some villages. If you want network signal, you can only go to the Pokémon service point, which can be regarded as a smaller Pokémon with fewer functions center. When Eminem arrived, it was already early in the morning, and he didn't bother him immediately. After all, there were no Pokémon in need of emergency care. He just set up tents around it. There were already several tents surrounding the Pokémon service point. Then Eminem asked ZOAI, Tomoyo, and Sakura to take a rest early while he took advantage of the signal and got online. First, he sent a message to Nazi and told her his speculation about the RE agent. Although Nazi was not involved in the Muto project and would not know anything too specific, as long as the news reached Sakaki, I believed him. There will be judgment. Then Eminem searched for recent news, mainly to see which directors had died in the past 2 days. But think about it carefully. There are so many directors, big and small, in the world, so it's not easy to investigate. So after a little hesitation, Eminem dialed Conan's number. In fact, when he first received the signal, Eminem saw Conan's text message. The big explosion in the northwest of the Lake of Anger had been on the news a few hours ago. Conan had been contacting Eminem since nightfall. Yuanzi also sent a text message asking him to contact him immediately. After arriving at a place with signal, he was not too worried. After all, the news mentioned that the ranger and the unnamed assisting trainer were both very safe. Only criminals suffered heavy casualties. Looking at Eminem and Hinata leaving the garden together, one can naturally guess who the unnamed assisting trainer is. Of course, Eminem would not call Yuanzi back in the early morning. How's it going? Conan answered the phone after a while. You could tell by his voice that he had left the tent and reached a secluded corner. It is true that the secret research institute is related to the dark organization. I saw Gin and Vodka, but the people in the research institute are basically from Stan Industries. The people from the dark organization should evacuate in advance. Eminem explained briefly. It's not even mentioned in the news. After all, Stan Industries will not admit guilt directly, but will not say anything. Moreover, although the evidence Hinata took away is enough to convince the Rangers Association and the Quartz Alliance, it is almost impossible to prove that a giant like Stan Industries, how about Bay Point, this kind of giant has an inextricable relationship with the local alliance. Even within the Quartz Alliance, there will be no spokesman point. Moreover, the content related to Team Flare is confidential information and will not be reported rashly in the news, but it's a pity that the two of them escaped. Eminem continued. Zio. AI said, any important discoveries? Conan asked nervously. Eminem also understood that, since he specifically mentioned Zio AI, what he wanted to ask was naturally whether there were any clues in the experiment of getting bigger and smaller. It's not the same thing. Conan was a little disappointed when he heard this, but Eminem continued, but I heard another message. If everything goes well, maybe I can catch a formal member of the organization. Then I might have the opportunity to use his account and log in at the end. We can hack into the dark organization's internal network, and then we might be able to retrieve some App 9527 information. It's aptX. Forget it. So what do you want to ask? Conan asked directly. Shouldn't I share information with you? Don't. Come here. You must be unable to judge what you heard, so you called me to ask me, right? Conan said accurately. Ahem. You detectives have a bad conscience. Eminem cursed and relayed what he heard from Jin to Conan. Then, search now for famous artistic film directors who died in the Johto area. Conan mentioned 3 more keywords: Johto, famous, and artistic film. Why? A well-known director? A street fighting director is not a director? Eminem asked rhetorically, since Jin specifically emphasized that Pisk should take action at the director's memorial service. It means that there will be a lot of people there, and it will be easy to avoid suspicion. A memorial service for ordinary people may not be of this scale, so how about that? Direct assassination. There is no difference. Conan said matter-of-factly. Without Eminem asking, Conan continued to explain, and this memorial service must be in the Johto area. After all, the target to be killed is probably the owner of the cargo ship that was bombed before, or at least someone closely related to it. Although the Lake of Anger can be called a small inland sea, it is only located in the north of the Johto area. The cargo ships here should not involve forces from other regions. In other words, the people to be killed should be people from Johto, and there is a high probability that we will not do anything at the memorial service of the director of the Pokémon film and television industry, because there will be many well-known coordinators present. It would be too risky. Conan explained the other 2 keywords. Literary films, in this world, are almost synonymous with purely human films, and are a relatively niche film genre. There are no Pokémon participating, which means that the movie pays more attention to literature and artistry. The corresponding commercial films are basically film and television works involving Pokémon. As we all know, many coordinators are part-time actors in Pokémon movies and TV series, and famous coordinators are often powerful trainers. If they are directors of well-known Pokémon movies, there will definitely be many people attending the memorial service. Well-known coordinators are present. Think about it. If McCree and Kaluni had sat there, they wouldn't have dared to do anything when Jin came, right? After adding 3 more key conditions, Eminem searched and found something. Just yesterday, Akira, the famous artistic film director in the Johto area, passed away. Chapter 586. Are you going or not? Director Zao. It does fit. I heard my mother say that director Zao has not made a Pokémon movie for many years. He may not be familiar with the coordinators and actors, but he is very famous among literary and art film directors. There should be many people at his memorial service. At this time, Conan showed his amazing memory again. As soon as Eminem said this name, he talked about some things about him. Of course, this is also related to his mother being a famous actress. Will Sister Yukiko go? Eminem asked directly. Conan, ignoring Eminem's taking advantage, Conan rolled his eyes and said, probably not. Mom has stopped acting for a long time, and she has not collaborated with director Aoshi. When she mentioned director Aoshi before, it seemed that she was talking about one of her friends, who worked with director Aoshi. Collaborate often. Eminem didn't pay much attention to Yukiko's friends at this time, but I can't seem to find the time of the memorial service online. Eminem said a little depressed. After all, it's not an external event, so it's normal if you can't find it. I'll go find my mother and find out, and I'll get back to you later. After Conan finished speaking, he quickly hung up the phone. Eminem guessed that maybe after Zyallen woke up, she found that he was missing. After putting down the illustrated book, Eminem originally planned to search for clues online, but not long after, Conan had already sent a text message. December 9th, Ensu City, Suzuki Hotel. Conan is really efficient. Did this dutiful son call his mother early in the morning? But then Amy thought about it. There was a time difference between the Hezhang area and Chianguan continent, so there would be no problem making calls now. Perhaps because guests from all over the world could arrive. The memorial service was 5 days later, so Eminem was not in a hurry and took a nap while it was still dark. Early in the morning, Eminem called Yuanzi again. "Ah, you okay? Watching the news is really exciting." Sonoko asked immediately. "It's okay, just like what the news said." Eminem reported that he was safe. This time, just give Sonoko a safety report, because no one else knows that this matter is related to Eminem. All reports leaked from the alliance later. Eminem doesn't want to reveal his identity, so he won't reveal it at all, only for the media. Of course, in fact, the spies of the dark organization inside will definitely know. Even if Eminem does kill gin and vodka, the dark organization will know it's Eminem. Afterwards, Eminem and Yuanzi chatted for a few more words, and Yuanzi already knew that Eminem was now on the North Bank, preparing to conquer the little wild boar. By the way, will you go to the Libo Mountain Tunnel in the future? Yuanzi asked casually. South of Kaji City is Libo Mountain. Although the mountainous area of Libo Mountain is not that big, it is towering and steep. There are no villages or towns, and it is difficult to climb. However, there is a tunnel running through it, which is half a natural tunnel and half a man-made tunnel. Therefore, if a trainer wants to leave Kaji City, he will most likely take the Libo Mountain Tunnel. After leaving Libo Mountain in the south, Yuansu City is not far to the west. No, after returning to Kaji City, I should book a flight directly to Yuansu City. Amu said truthfully. There were only 5 days. No, counting the things needed on the road, there were only 3 days. Eminem was ready to find the little wild boar on the North Shore. Although Yuansu City is not far from Libo Mountain, Eminem didn't have time to walk through the Libo Mountain Tunnel. After returning to Kaji City, you will most likely book a flight directly. So urgent? Yuanzi was stunned when he heard this. Well, I have some things to do in Yuansu City, Amu said vaguely. When the time comes, Yuanzi may be needed for help, but before that, Eminem thinks it's better not to tell Yuanzi first, lest she spill the beans. I should not go to Yuansu City in the future. Ha ha ha. Yuanzi laughed dryly. Zyallen's voice came from the side. Yuanzi. She seemed to be about to say something, but was stopped by Yuanzi. Amu was stunned when he heard this, but he didn't expect Yuanzi not to come. But then I thought about it. Yuanzi and Zyallen were traveling normally, and they didn't have to follow their own frequency every step of the way, right? Well, let's have a meal when I return to Kaji City. Amu didn't persuade Yuanzi much. Even if Sonoko doesn't come, Amu can still find a way to sneak in. If that doesn't work, you can also ask Tomoyo to think of a way, and Eminem felt that she didn't have to come, because she didn't want to. Conan also knew about Director Zayo's affairs, and he would urge Yuanzi and Zyallen to come to Yuansu City, even if it meant Shota rolling. However, Zyallen and Yuanzi didn't know that Conan would turn into a troublesome little goblin soon. After Yuanzi put down the illustrated book, Zyallen said, "Why don't you go to Yuansu City? We weren't going to Yuansu in the first place." City, Yuanzi pouted at this time and said, "But I always feel like I'm chasing people. What should I do if people misunderstand me?" Zyallen said, holding her forehead. But after all, Zyallen is not as gossipy as Yuanzi. She wants to have some sense of distance, so she won't go unless she goes. However, during breakfast, Conan accidentally mentioned his plans. After going to Ensu City, Zyallen told him that after not going to Ensu City, Conan immediately started acting coquettishly. The reason was that there would be a Grand Kamen Rider show in Ensu City in a few days. Conan was also very embarrassed. This performance was not only unethical, but also, with Yuanzi's character, he should be ridiculed. However, what Conan didn't expect was that Yuanzi showed a strange expression like that of a bastard day student. "I can't live in school anymore," and said righteously, "Since you, little brat, must go, well, let's go to Yuanzu City together then. There's really no other way." "Ha ha ha, you can go talk to your brother Eminem then." Xiaolan rolled her eyes at the sight. She really had a reason to convince herself. Yuanzi repeatedly emphasized, "It's all you kid who made us change our schedule. And don't forget to tell your brother Eminem." Jan Yuanzi already knew that Eminem was going to Ensu City. Conan could probably guess what was going on. Speaking of Kamen Rider's performance, could it be that Eminem is rushing to Yuanzu City for this reason? Xiaolan suddenly remembered that when Eminem was in Golden City before, he also bought Kamen Rider peripherals here. It shouldn't be, right? Yuanzi said uncertainly. "Brother, Eminem likes Kamen Rider the most." Conan took the opportunity to slander Eminem, and by the way, to distract from the moral integrity he had lost when he acted coquettishly. Xiaolan explained for Eminem at this time, "But Eminem is definitely different from you. There seems to be rumors in Alala that a new project of the Alliance is to realize functions similar to Kamen Rider. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 587 Mayo Mayo. On December 6th, Eminem finished his day trip and returned from the northern forest point in the past 2 days. Eminem went to the north of the Lake of Anger every day, but did not go deep. He returned to the service point of the Lake of Anger every night. After all, this can be said to be outside the alliance. Then the group of people went to the Pokémon service point first. Although the Pokémon were not injured, they could take a rest and replenish some travel supplies. There is still no harvest today. Tomorrow at the latest. No matter what happens, I will choose a little wild boar tomorrow. Eminem vowed at this time point. Although with the fungi given to him by teacher Jumyu, Eminem was able to quickly screen out the little mountain pigs whose qualifications were above the standard. But he was more or less dissatisfied, and in the end he just fed them. As a Pokémon service point on the northern border of the Johto region, it is very deserted point. Although it is neat and clean, it seems very simple even compared to the Pokémon Center in the town point. Because of the cold weather, the staff also wore thick clothes indoors. Probably only the Pokémon restroom and staff bedrooms had heating measures. Just when Eminem handed the 3 Pokéballs to the staff at the Pokémon Center, he suddenly discovered, in the corner next to it, a hairless little mountain pig was eating point. At first, Eminem didn't pay too much attention. Just by looking at the bald appearance, he knew it was a stunted little mountain pig point. If he saw it in the wild, Amu might feed it some nutritional medicine, but he would not subdue it point. But now that he has been rescued by the Pokémon service point, there is no need for Eminem to worry point. But just when Eminem was walking out, preparing to check out the areas further north, suddenly, woo, the little bald mountain pig came over and nuzzled Eminem's trouser legs with its snout. Huh. Amu looked at it in surprise. "Ah. Mayo Mayo, no." The staff on the side came over immediately and said point. Then he said to Eminem, "This kid is usually very accommodating. Maybe he has a special affinity with you." Ha ha ha. As a trainer, Eminem would naturally not be unhappy when a Pokémon approached him. He just said in surprise, "Little guy, you smell this, right? But I'm afraid you can't eat this." Now, in Eminem's backpack, there are elephant mushrooms received from teacher Jumu. They will attract little mountain pigs, and they will attract little mountain pigs that are healthier and have better qualifications, and little mountain pigs with less qualifications. On the contrary, you will be drunk by the smell point. It is said that Eminem's backpack is a field travel backpack produced by Prodigy Group, and it has a strong ability to isolate smells. Eminem just guessed that maybe he had some elephant mushroom smell on his body when he spread bait during the day. After all, little mountain boar is very sensitive to the smell of fungi. As Eminem spoke, He leaned down and touched the head of this little mountain pig point. But at this moment, Eminem was suddenly stunned. I saw this little mountain pig called Mayo Mayo nudging Eminem's palm with its nose point at the same time. Eminem originally wanted to use animal senses to communicate with it, but he also instinctively brought in the basic ability of viewing. As a result, Eminem was surprised to find that the individual qualifications of this little mountain pig were not as bad as expected. Although not excellent, they were still below the average. How come you are bald at such a young age? Generally speaking, the level of qualifications is determined by the individual correction rate point. I saw Eminem squatting down and looking carefully. This little wild boar. That's it. After a brief inspection, Eminem discovered the crux of the problem. This little mountain pig is not only not bad in aspects other than individual correction rate, but also, its characteristics have awakened. It's obviously just a level 8 little mountain pig, but its characteristic, thick fat, has awakened to level 1. Eminem is not sure why this is because, after all, there are many unexplainable things in the world, as well as many accidents and coincidences, but Eminem already understands why this little wild boar looks so weak, because its body cannot accommodate the characteristics after awakening, the characteristics of Pokémon, which can also be said to be their genes, and the body of this little wild boar is not enough to express the characteristic genes after awakening. This also leads to the fact that not only is its thick fat awakening effect not shown, it is not even as good as ordinary thick fat. Instead, it affects the oil secretion of the pores all over the body, which in turn makes it alopecia areata, and this not only affects its appearance, but also directly affects its physical defense and special defense in terms of individual correction rate. In addition to special attack, this little mountain pig also has physical defense. He suffered a big loss with special defense, so he was pushed to average point. Amu estimates that, as long as its thick fat characteristic is expressed normally, its physical defense and special defense will be able to return to normal, and by then it should be considered to be extremely qualified to solve the problem of thick fat. It is very simple to say that you only need to upgrade the growth level. Evolving to a hairy pig should be able to basically solve it, and if you evolve to an ivory pig, it will definitely be solved. Point of course, it is not as easy as it sounds. The awakened, thick fat, has now affected the growth of this little mountain pig. Ordinary trainers will not be able to discover its crux, and even if they know it, it will be difficult to cure it. Get trained, but Eminem felt that, if it were him, he should be able to solve it. This confidence stems not only from my ability as a trainer, but also from my ability as a pharmacist. I can use potions to suppress the gene expression of thick fat and then increase the growth level. Eminem briefly imagined it in his mind and thought it was completely feasible. This little wild boar hasn't been taken in yet. Can I adopt it? Eminem asked directly to the staff on the side. But, although Mayo Mayo's qualifications are not bad, he is born with defects, his nutrition cannot keep up, and his growth level can hardly be improved. He is not suitable for a trainer. The staff said in embarrassment. It wasn't that he couldn't bear to part with it, but since he had been adopted by the Pokémon Service Center, they had to take responsibility. In their opinion, if Mayo Mayo is handed over to a trainer Ashley in his condition, there is a risk of being abandoned. Especially Eminem, who looks too young. If it were a more experienced and famous trainer, they wouldn't have any worries. Eminem also understood their concerns, so he explained, "My name is Eminem, and I'm the top 4 in this year's Kanto rookie competition. Well, by the way, I'm also an expert pharmacist, and I'm confident that I can solve Mayo Mayo's situation." Eminem first revealed his identity as a trainer, but just thinking about it, the top 4 in the rookie competition didn't seem to be very good at it, so I took out the pharmacist's badge again. Expert pharmacist? You are the youngest expert pharmacist who was in the news before, right? The staff looked at Eminem's young face. They were puzzled for a while, and then their eyes lit up as they thought of something. That's right, Eminem admitted. Do you have a way to treat Mayo Mayo's baldness? The staff member confirmed immediately with great excitement. This baldness Can't be cured, not even by a master pharmacist, but I can see the crux of it, and I can treat it from the root. Eminem quickly corrected it. Chapter 588 Tickets. After learning that Eminem was an expert pharmacist and the youngest expert pharmacist, the Pokémon Service Center confidently handed over the little wild boar named Mayo Mayo to Eminem. It's really hard to find anything. I found the little wild boar that I like. Then we'll go back tonight. Tomoyo asked. At this time point in the past 2 days, Sakura even encountered and conquered a clocard, but Eminem's little mountain boar has never found a suitable one. No, it's already so late. Let's go tomorrow morning. Yuanzi booked a flight for the afternoon of the 8th, so we can make it in time. Eminem was not in a hurry, and rushed all night point anyway. The original plan was to return tomorrow afternoon and rush directly to the airport, but now I have a lot more time. I thought you couldn't wait to meet Snoko? Tomoyo pretended to be surprised. Amu looked over in surprise. Ahem. It's nothing. Tomoyo felt a little embarrassed when he saw this. He seemed to be too yin and yang just now. Yuanzi called Eminem the day before yesterday, dragged Conan over, and forced him to reveal his willfulness to brother Eminem, insisting on begging Yuanzi's sister and Xiaolan's sister to go to Yuansu City, otherwise he would get lost. Since we were on the way, Yuanzi naturally went with Eminem while resting at night. Eminem also carefully made a more detailed inspection of the little mountain pig, and then began to write and draw in his diary. Seeing Eminem doing pharmacological analysis in the diary like ghost drawings, Zio AI still rolled his eyes and said, "It's time for you to get used to using a computer, right, Zio?" AI said, placing his laptop in front of Eminem. "I'm used to it," Amu said sarcastically. After all, he is a student taught by Grandma Leixi, and Eminem is very retro in this aspect. "I'll teach you," Zio AI said and sat directly next to Eminem. It seemed that he could no longer stand his manual operations. Do you have so much time tonight?" Eminem remembered that last night, Zio AI was still poring over the information from the Secret Research Institute. "If I can find Pisk's login terminal and let Noah obtain the key information of APTX 4869, I can take the current research a big step forward. Before that, I have to have a good rest, otherwise someone will ask for it again." Nagging, Zio AI said, pretending to be relaxed. After that, Zio AI looked at Eminem's ghost painting talisman, and after clarifying Eminem's pharmacological ideas, she recommended several software to assist Eminem in research and development. Although they are cross-professional, there are still many commonalities in auxiliary software. But then Zio AI discovered that the task of teaching was more difficult than imagined. Eminem actually use the keyboard with one finger. In fact, it's no wonder. After all, Eminem has been studying with Grandma Leixi since time travel. He is a Tao follows nature type and has no technological assistance. As for before time travel, the keyboard and text are different. The night passed quickly, and Eminem did not learn till late, but asked Zio AI to go to bed early. Early the next morning, Eminem and his party set out on their way back south. On the morning of December 8th, Eminem had already rushed back to the camping area on the south bank of the Lake of Anger overnight. As a tourist area, this place is not far from Kaji City. Naturally, there are buses going there. Eminem took the bus directly back to Kaji City. Good opportunity to take a rest. Yuanzi and his party have also been waiting at the airport for a long time. After meeting at the airport, we went to Yuansu City together. Because the straight line distance was not far, it was not completely dark when we arrived at Yuansu City. Because they were busy on the road before, Eminem, Zio AI, Tomoyo, and Sakura slept soundly on the plane. The latter three were really tired, and Eminem also took the opportunity to take a rest. According to the information provided by Sister Yukiko, Director Akira's memorial service will be tomorrow afternoon, and it will be at the Suzuki Group Hotel venue. By the way, Eminem, you should want to go here, right? I bought a ticket for you. Yuanzi handed over a ticket at this time. Eminem was stunned when he heard this, and then looked at Conan doubtfully. Did you tell Yuanzi about going to the memorial service? And why are tickets still being sold for this guy's memorial service? This is too artistic. After Eminem instinctively took it, he realized that this was canon. Rider live performance? Eminem saw the contents of the ticket. Hey, if you want to buy it now, you definitely won't be able to buy it. Fortunately, I knew you were going here after this guy reminded me. Yuanzi said confidently. Eminem glanced at Conan and found that he had a speechless expression of expectation on his face. It seemed that this was the reason he was talking about before. This ticket is for the double 12 live performance on the 12th. Naturally, Eminem will not correct anything. Anyway, it is just a trip. You can watch it. If you don't like it, thank you. Also, this time in Yuanzu City, let's stay in your hotel. Eminem said directly. Yuanzi was stunned when he heard this. Amu had never been interested in Suzuki Hotel before. Of course you can, but Yuanzi looked puzzled. Seeing this, Eminem whispered to her, when I was at the research institute, I accidentally heard that they might have to meet at Director Zao's memorial service. That memorial service will be tomorrow afternoon. Enzu Suzuki. It's going on the 12th floor of the hotel. Don't tell anyone else, especially Junsha. What? Then, Yuanzi became anxious when he heard this. It doesn't matter. Just put me on the floor near the 12th floor. I will catch them. Amu deliberately lowered the risk factor. Assassination was downgraded to connection to prevent Yuanzi from being unable to accept it. But is it really okay not to inform Junsha? Yuanzi was still a little worried. There must be a mole in Junsha. I will report to Junsha after the memorial service starts so that the mole cannot spread the news in time and let those guys escape. Eminem further explained. Hearing what Eminem said, Yuanzi felt relieved. By the way, if I contact the hotel, they will probably invite me. By the way, then I can pretend to accept the invitation and then take you into the venue together. Yuanzi also thought about what name should I use to enter the venue for Eminem. Alright. However, Eminem was still a little worried about the safety situation, so he declined. No, just let me pretend to be an on-site staff member. Huh? Didn't you say it's just a joint? It won't be dangerous, right? Yuanzi suddenly became alert. Slim Shady. After hearing what Yuanzi said, Eminem could only agree. First, after all, it was just assassination of someone, not attack on the scene. Then, you must follow me closely. Those guys are all desperados, and it's hard to say what they do. Eminem reminded. Chapter 589. Suitable Juncture. Toilet. Brother Eminem. Outside the airport, Conan used the toilet skill again. When Xiaolan saw this, she couldn't help but said in shock, I'm really sorry. I don't know why this kid is. He obviously doesn't behave like this. It's okay, I'll take him there, Eminem said, taking Conan to the bathroom. Of course, they actually came to a secluded corner at the safety exit and made sure there was no one around, and then the two started communicating. What the hell are you doing? You can actually sleep so soundly on the plane. Conan complained again and again. Originally, Conan wanted to communicate with Eminem when he was on the plane. Who knew that he slept like a pig and didn't even wake up when he solved a theft case. Of course, Eminem didn't wake up on purpose. It wasn't a big case anyway, and with Conan around, he didn't bother to pay attention. Otherwise, if there was really danger, Eminem would still be able to wake up. Eminem, who is spiritual, will not be attacked while sleeping under normal circumstances. Huh? It's nothing to do with me, right? But have you found out who Pisk wants to kill? Eminem asked in return. The clues are obvious. The target must be someone closely related to the cargo ship that exploded in the Lake of Wrath. I don't know. This is not a matter of reasoning. It requires information from Junsha. Conan said helplessly. Then, you sneak into the Junsha building quietly. I will hand Noah over to you, and you find an opportunity to let Noah sneak into their system. Eminem said. A very dangerous method. How can you speak so frankly? Anyway, the Junshas will just think you are a lost child when they see you. No, you are already committing a real crime. Conan shook his head repeatedly. It is also a crime to hypnotize humans with dream demons. Amu curled his lips and said. Conan, then what should we do? We don't know who we want to protect or who we want to kill, so we just wait to eat? Amu accused confidently. Although Eminem himself doesn't know who he is, in terms of fighting against the dark organization, such as destroying the secret research institute and forcing Jin back. This is what Eminem has to do. So, what Conan has to do, isn't it? As a think tank in this regard, it would be great if there was a local juncture you could trust. Conan scratched his head. Although Gaoming and the others have cooperated before, but obviously they cannot meet the standards of credibility. It's a pity that the Gaoming Police Department and the Gansu Police Department are too smart. If you ask them, they may directly guess the purpose. Eminem muttered, and you haven't confirmed that they are trustworthy, right? Conan rolled his eyes. Eminem is different in this regard. Although he has not seen the plot so far, he also notes that the threesome is credible. The suspected second-in-command of the Dark Organization, that the one-eyed dragon dared to help, has long been replaced by 3 other people. Note 1. But they don't trust Amu 100%. Once they suspect Amu's purpose, they may use the Junsha system to investigate. And once they use the Junsha system, there may be informants from Team Flare somewhere. There may not really be a large number of undercovers, but there are definitely many informants in the Junsha system who are bribed and occasionally leak information. So not only does this Junsha need to be trustworthy, but more importantly, he also needs to trust Eminem, and it's better to be stupid. At this moment, Eminem couldn't help but think of Yumi with a big bird. No, a big bird. Eminem, even thinking about it, I heard her voice. So you are also in Yuansu City. Wait a minute. Are you doing something bad in such a secluded place? Eminem realized that it was really Yumi who was here. Why are you here? Amu asked in surprise. I saw Yumi at this time, wearing an everyday, somewhat fashionable and sexy hip-hugging skirt, short shirt and jacket, as if she really couldn't feel the cold, and she had sunglasses on her head. He was dragging his suitcase in his hand, and he looked like he had just gotten off the plane. HMPH, don't be frightened when you hear this. The one standing in front of you is the police chief of the Ensu branch. Yumi said coquettishly. Sure enough, after the Santino incident, Yumi took a step further. She should have returned from studying at the Junsha headquarters of the Quartz Alliance. I wonder if I will become smarter. I'll tell you quietly, I also hold a secret position at the Quartz Alliance headquarters. I can't say what exactly it is. Yumi came closer at this time and said excitedly, unable to hide her excitement. Slim Shady, you haven't become smarter at all. That, since it is a secret position, it is actually a secret. Even if you don't tell me the specific position, it won't work. Eminem rolled his eyes. Ah, that's right. Yumi said, her eyes becoming dangerous. Of course, I didn't hear anything. Eminem said quickly. When Yumi lowered her head to look at Conan, Conan immediately laughed and said, Brother Eminem, who is this sister? I don't even remember. Hehe. Yumi's eyes rolled to the sky. She didn't believe that this kid couldn't remember her. Oh, little Conan, don't you remember the things you usually do when you make trouble at your sister's investigation site? Yumi asked dangerously. Conan thought to himself, if I make trouble, I really don't remember it even once. Think about it, whose credit is it for me to be promoted so quickly? Ahem. Of course, the biggest contribution was actually the resolution of the Santo Anu incident, which was all thanks to Eminem. Otherwise Conan's solution to the murder case above would not have affected the overall situation at all. Then Eminem looked around and said, have you officially taken office? There is something I want to ask you for help. Let's talk about it tonight. Seeing his sneaky look, Yumi deliberately showed a disgusted expression and said, you're not going to go through the back door, are you? That's not allowed. I'm an upright police chief. Hahaha, I'm not kidding you. Have I officially taken office? It doesn't affect my self-interest in the past 2 days. It's not a big favor. I should be able to help, but please prepare to treat me to a big dinner. From what she meant, it was obvious that she had not officially taken office yet, but it was only for the past 2 days. Yumi also agreed directly. After all, she believed in Eminem. Although she looked like she wanted to go through the back door and the help she might have to do was indeed not in line with the procedures, it would definitely not be a bad thing. Eminem had Yumi's contact information for a long time. Since he knew that Yumi was in Ensu City, he didn't worry about not being able to find her. He rushed back with Conan first, so that Sonoko and Tomoyo would not be anxious. Yuanzi had already made arrangements to check in at the Suzuki Hotel, and specially selected a room on the 13th floor. Originally, the person in charge of the Suzuki Hotel knew that Miss Yuanzi would definitely arrange the best championship suite if she wanted to stay there, but Yuanzi had to choose this unlucky 13th floor, and the best suites on the 13th floor only had some basic suites. By the way, the manager said that their restaurant here is very good. How about we eat in the hotel tonight? Sonoko asked Eminem and Tomoyo at this time. Is that so? But it's such a pity. I also knew about a restaurant before, which was opened in the Sky Garden of Daioji shopping mall. I have made an appointment with Mr. Eminem, but Miss Sonoko can also get up. Tomoyo said at this time. Is that so? Yuanzi heard this and didn't know how to react. But at this moment, Eminem interjected. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. I just saw Yumi at the airport, and I have made an appointment with her in the evening. Well, she always goes to Samizake's, or is it just us? Once the two are ready, we won't eat them together. Sonoko, Tomoyo, Dong, Bendong knows that Rum has been exposed, but according to the setting, Eminem does not know what will happen next, and has not even read the spoilers. Chapter 590 Preparation. Although Yumi said big dinner, Eminem still knew how to invite her to the izakaya. This time, she did not sit in front of the plate, but chose a corner seat. When Yumi came in, she saw Eminem standing up to greet her, and the boss who was doing the open cooking took a second look at this place. Do young people like older sisters now? Eminem didn't get down to business right away. He also ordered some barbecue and appetizers, and Yumi ordered draft beer. When Yumi was tipsy and could talk more easily without forgetting things due to drinking too much, Eminem talked about the Lake of Anger Secret Research Institute. The Research Institute of the Lake of Anger? Why are you asking this? This is not something a child is involved in. Although Yumi was a little drunk, she seemed to get excited when she mentioned this matter, and she said in an old-fashioned way, I didn't ask. I was at the scene. I'm one of the unnamed civilian trainers that the Hyuga Rangers said. Eminem said, putting his finger on his lips to signal Yumi to keep her voice down. Yumi was stunned when she heard this. So it's you. It seems like there will be more. Ahem. You go ahead. Eminem looked at Yumi strangely and said, you are not here with a secret mission to investigate the Lake of Anger incident, are you? I'll scare you to death if I tell you my mission. So I'd better not tell you now. You tell me yours. Yumi changed the subject. Actually, I also learned a piece of news. That incident was related to the Flare team, you know? I overheard a piece of news at that time. Someone from the Dark Organization was going to assassinate a man and woman at Director Zao's memorial service tomorrow afternoon. People involved in the exploding freighter were silenced because of this incident. Everything is confidential. I don't know the clues about the cargo ship's ownership. And Team Flare, you know, I can't reveal too much to Junsha. Originally, I wanted to attend the memorial service. After the official start, I will report the case to Junsha. Amu said truthfully. Now that I have met Yumi, I don't even have to report the crime. However, Eminem also told Yumi not to mobilize other Junsha to do anything before the memorial service begins. He only needs to investigate for himself and find clues about the freighter. You don't need to tell me this. Do you know what my mission is now? Yumi waved her hand. You are responsible for Team Flare's problems, right? It's written all over your face. Eminem said speechlessly. Eminem also doesn't understand what the Quartz Alliance's Junsha headquarters is thinking. Is it really okay to leave something like this that seriously needs to be kept secret to Yumi? Yumi paused after hearing the words. Realizing that she was too obvious, she restrained herself a little and said, I know. I will go to the Yuansu branch tomorrow morning. The river to the west of the Lake of Anger was originally divided into Yuansu. A cargo ship that big from ZHU's administrative district won't appear out of thin air, so there should be clues already. After Yumi agreed, she ordered another draft beer. Eminem was not afraid of her denying it, but when she left the izakaya, she was already drunk. Seeing Eminem holding the unconscious Yumi, the boss looked strangely at the checkout point after Eminem found out. As soon as he went out and in front of him, he put his hand on Yumi's waist, took out the Pokeball, and released Wind Speed Dog Star. After putting Yumi on Star's back, Eminem touched Star's head and said, "You know where Yumi lives now, right? I'll take you back. Forget it. Go back to the Suzuki Hotel." After thinking about it for a while, Eminem changed his mind when he made an appointment with Yumi before. Eminem asked her about her current address, which was not far from Yuansu Junsha building. He didn't know if it was housing provided by the Junsha system. That's all. When I was still little Junsha. Now, as the police chief, he returned home drunk before he took office. If someone saw him, it might damage Yumi's prestige. At this time, Eminem also remembered that he had just been minding his own business and hadn't asked Yumi what department she was in charge of. Yumi is now the chief inspector, which means she is on the same level as Kazuha's mother and one level lower than Hige's mother. If you are in the Junsha branch of an ordinary city, you can be the head of the headquarters. However, in a large branch like the Ensu branch, the head of the branch must be at the level of Hige's mother and police chief. You can only serve as the minister of a certain department or other equal level positions on the way. Eminem also called Sonoko, asking her to temporarily arrange a room. He originally wanted to tell Sonoko not to reveal Yumi's identity, but listening to the snoring coming from Star's back, Eminem felt that he shouldn't. Some people suspected that they were talking to her about investigating the dark organization. The next morning, during breakfast, Eminem heard Sonoko mention that Yumi had left early in the morning. Yumi's talent was that no matter how hungover she was, she would not delay the next day's work. Eminem originally wanted to go to the battle club in the morning, but Yuanzi said at this time, hey, did you forget that you have to go to the memorial service in the afternoon? Isn't that 4 o'clock in the afternoon? There's still time. Eminem has a good sense of time management, but do you have clothes that can be worn at the memorial service? Sonoko reminded. Only then did Eminem remember that the only formal attire he wore was not suitable for a memorial service. It's too late to make a custom order. Let's go find a place to buy a set, Yuanzi said, specifically avoiding the Daoji shopping mall. But at this time, Tomoyo wiped his mouth and continued, "Ms. Sonoko, it's possible to make a custom order as long as we can mobilize all the costume designers in Daoji shopping mall, and I also know Mr. Eminem's size. I heard it yesterday. I told you that you are going to attend the memorial service as guests, so I have already informed Yuansu Daoshi shopping mall to urgently order it, and it will be delivered shortly." Ha. Tomoyo, you are really attentive. Sonoko hesitated after hearing this. Great, then I'll take my clothes to the battle club later and go directly to the memorial service in the afternoon. Eminem was still thinking about the battle club. Originally, Eminem wanted to go to the scene in advance to avoid being tampered with, but Conan reminded him that if he went in advance, he might be discovered by Team Flare. After all, no one knows whether that pisk will be from the Suzuki group. Therefore, the responsibility of investigating the scene in advance fell on Conan, a naughty kid who secretly ran to the memorial service site being arranged. Even if he was discovered, he would only be kicked out. Even if there was an informant, he would not be involved. Alarmed. As for Eminem in the battle club, on the one hand, he is collecting more data on Mayo, and on the other hand, he is also paying special attention to Gungan, the little elephant who has not yet evolved. In terms of growth level, Gungan has been able to evolve for a long time, but Amu has been suppressing its evolution in order to cooperate with Noah and guided to the evolution line of Majestic Fang. Chapter 591 Speculating Target. In the battle club, Eminem has basically analyzed Mayo's current condition. I believe that it won't be long before a specialized, thick fat suppressing agent will be developed. Gungan was already in good condition at this time. A little elephant with a level of over 50 was really rare. A little elephant with a normal growth rate should have evolved anyway. If it is a little elephant with physiological defects that cannot evolve, it will often not be able to advance to such a level. It's as rare as Ake in Nazi Jin. Of course, Gungan is not defective, but Eminem used the potion, to deliberately inhibit Gungan's evolution. Eminem has not yet discovered that there is a prop like the immutable stone in this world. Fortunately, Eminem used the potion. It can also achieve similar functions of inhibiting evolution. It is precisely because evolution has been delayed too much. In this case, the attributes of Gun can no longer be digitized in the normal way. After all, numerization is a statistical concept forcibly given by humans, and it is deliberately suppressed. Evolution will blur the racial value and growth rate of Pokémon, but to roughly measure it, it's more than 50 levels. The current distorted ratio of the rolling race value is very similar to the majestic Fang data entered by Noah. If there is a special hardware terminal, or if we go to the Padia region to find a truly perfect adapting environment, we can guide evolution. The probability of success should be above 90%. It's just that the conditions are lacking now, and Noah may have to sneak into the system of the Dark Organization soon, so Eminem is not in a hurry. Get out, get out. Gungan shouted energetically. While shouting, he also wanted to curl up and cupped Eminem's hand, seeming a little anxious. Wait a moment. Within a month, no matter whether we can find a suitable place or not, we will start to evolve, Eminem said, scratching its nose to comfort it. If the little elephant in the city could be cultivated into a majestic tooth, although it would not be as groundbreaking as the moon and moon bear, it would still be an achievement of scientific research value. As for moon bear, Jumu Research Institute has now released the news, saying that Drive Jumu's students have cultivated Uiu bear, temporarily quelling everyone's suspicions about the circle. Bear suddenly became restless and even began to resonate with the evolution stone. For more news and scientific research reports, Jumu Research Institute will hold a press conference in Jinhuang City at the beginning of the New Year drive. Jumu also told Eminem to go to Golden City immediately after the new year. As for the Jumu Research Institute, it is not within the scope of the Alliance. For ordinary people, it is nothing. After learning that someone has bred Uiu bear, although they are surprised, they finally know the reason for the abnormality of circle bear, and their attention has dropped. At most, they are looking forward to Uiu bear. Bear really appears. However, there has been a huge turmoil in the academic circles on evolution and ancient environment, and it will explode completely just waiting for the press conference to be held. In comparison, the impact of cultivating the little elephants in the Johto area into majestic teeth seems much smaller. After all, Padia has no shortage of majestic teeth under the special force field. Moreover, when it comes to others, it is still big news, but when it comes to Eminem, who has cultivated moon bear, it may not be a big deal. At this moment, Eminem's picture book rang. When he saw it was Yumi, Eminem quickly answered it. How is it? I know it is, Resident Shijihiko. You are very suspicious. Yumi answered directly without waiting for Amu to ask. Congressman Shijian is, where is the congressman from? Amu was really not familiar with these people. He is a councillor from Enzu City. There are many parties related to the exploding freighter, and they all claim to have no knowledge. Among the most suspicious people, the only one who also attended the memorial service in the afternoon, was this Congressman Shijihiko. Yumi explained. Road. I see. I'll search for his photos in a while. Eminem nodded after hearing this. In addition, Representative Shijihiko was recently involved in a Pokémon abuse case. It was at a time when the public reputation was extremely bad. He had received threatening letters before and reported it to Junsha. If something happens now, it's really hard to find the murderer, Yumi said at this time. By the way, when the time comes, Eminem was about to give Yumi a few words about the police dispatching at the memorial service. If it's too early, it's easy to alert the enemy. If it's too late, it may be too late. This is not something that Yumi can do alone, but a large number of Junsa. Thinking about it now, Eminem also feels that it is a bit difficult. I still don't know what Yumi's position is. If he is not the head of a department with abundant operators, it would not be easy to suddenly bring a group of Junsha to control the scene. You don't need to worry about this. Okay, I have to arrange work first. After Yumi finished speaking, she hung up the phone. When Eminem heard what she said, she was startled. thinking that she was going to arrange for someone to go to the Suzuki hotel now, but thinking about it carefully, Yumi was not that stupid. So Eminem called Conan first and told him about Congressman Shigehiko. Congressman Shigehiko? Okay, I will pay special attention to it later. How was the venue? Is there anything wrong? Eminem asked. I didn't find anything wrong. I'm making the final arrangements now. Toilet. Uncle, I'm here to find the toilet. Conan seems to have been discovered. Seeing that Conan had hung up, Eminem used the illustrated book to search for basic information about Rep. Shigehiko online. Eminem tried hard to remember his photos in his mind, but it was a bit difficult for Eminem. It would be better to see a few more people, but only seeing one face, especially the facial features of a person who had only seen photos, would be difficult for Eminem at all. Can't remember. Fortunately, Senator Shigehiko at least has a big nose that is rarely seen in this world, something Eminem can remember. I hope there won't be a second big nose during the memorial service, and without Eminem having to search carefully, a lot of dirty information about him was found. By the way, although there is no concrete evidence yet, this is indeed a bad character in the public mind. The recent Pokémon abuse incident has pushed him to the edge of resignation, and he has kept a lot of threatening letters and blades. If he really died at this time, he probably wouldn't be suspected of Team Flare. Eminem secretly said unfortunately at first, but then he thought about it. It was inevitable. Only people with such bad conduct would cooperate with bad organizations like Team Flare. Of course, they will also be manipulated by the other party. It is very likely that the recent cases and black materials were secretly revealed by the Flare team, just to make it easier to silence them and confuse the public. Chapter 592 Memorial Service. In the afternoon, Eminem put on a black formal suit in the locker room of the rival club, combed his hair like an adult, then took a taxi back to the hotel, and went straight to the 12th floor, where the memorial service was held. Yuanzi had also put on a black skirt at this time. Although it was a bit awkward to wear on Yuanzi, it did look much more mature and dignified. As Yuanzi expected, after a little bit of news spread, someone invited Yuanzi to attend the memorial service. Yuanzi also took advantage of the opportunity and said that he would attend with Eminem. Although it is a memorial service and not a dance, it is a bit strange to bring a male companion, but after all Eminem is also well known, and since he came with Yuanzi, the organizer naturally wouldn't refuse. At the concierge desk at the entrance of the banquet hall, Yuanzi handed over 2 envelopes that he had prepared a long time ago, containing 30,000 yuan each. After filling in his name, Eminem didn't understand what the custom was, and the gift in return was actually a pure red handkerchief. Those who didn't know it thought it was a happy event. After the 2 entered the venue, Eminem breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, Eminem was worried. After entering, there was a group of chairs or cushions, and then everyone listened to the old monk chanting sutras. Not only is it boring, but I can't even see that Congressman Shigehiko, but the reality was different from what Eminem had imagined. After entering, there were long cooking tables with various foods and drinks, which looked similar to a buffet. It's just that the lights are a little darker, and the smiles on everyone's faces are also a little smaller, which makes people feel more solemn. But it's not as serious as it is at this time. Not many people came. Amu looked at the photos saved in the illustrated book, but he didn't find Representative Shigehiko, so he probably hadn't arrived yet. Then Eminem discovered that Conan was also sneakily lurking at the scene. Huh? Kid, why are you here? Yuanzi couldn't help but wonder after finding out there were already more than a dozen people at the scene. When the others saw the child, at most they were just curious about who brought the child. They would not have thought that this naughty child had sneaked in quietly. Did you know that Eminem said that there was someone here to connect, so you came to play a detective game? I must tell Zion. Yuanzi suddenly understood. No, Conan still wanted to explain. However, Yuanzi has already threatened. Let me tell you, these bad tissue joints are very dangerous. If they are discovered, they will definitely be knocked unconscious with a stick, and then they will give you some weird drugs. Conan, you really understand that can't be considered medicine? Conan couldn't help but muttered a retort. Huh? What did you say? Yuanzi didn't hear clearly. Mean. Sister Sonoko, you are so beautiful today. Conan decisively wanted to change the subject point after Yuanzi heard this. Gufang smiled admiringly and said, isn't it beautiful? Then I will wear it like this when you hold your memorial service, Conan. Damn you. Is it really okay to say that to a child? Okay, it's already here. He's still a child, and he's celebrating the new year. Eminem persuaded from the side. No, although the Chinese New Year is indeed coming soon, today is not a Chinese New Year. Yuanzi rolled his eyes, then Yuanzi also complained to Eminem. You did the same, and you ask me not to talk nonsense, but why did you let this naughty kid know about it? This eavesdropping. He must be eavesdropping. Don't you think this naughty kid is always elusive? Eminem quickly excused himself. When Yuanzi heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then said thoughtfully, when you say this, it seems that, I need to go to the toilet. Conan quickly interrupted Yuanzi's thinking, and found an excuse to run out. After a while, there were more and more people, and the hall gradually became denser, and Conan became more and more inconspicuous at the same time. More and more people recognized Yuanzi, and started chatting with her. After all, this is a memorial service for a director of a literary film, and the people invited are all people who can become literary. Whether they really understand literary or pretend to be elegant. In short, most of them have some status. Executives of various groups, business owners, alliance officials, and most of all, people in the entertainment industry. At this time, the memorial service site had become a large social venue. Of course, the organizers seemed to want this effect. Just then, Eminem saw a big nose coming in. Sure enough, many people came to greet him at this time, and many people whispered things like, this guy still has the nerve to show up. After Eminem and Sonoko whispered something, they approached Shigehiko, but did not make direct contact with him. Instead, he was observing the people approaching him from a distance that was neither far nor close. At this time, Changan was still working hard, making it difficult to see the loneliness and anxiety, but Eminem could feel that his momentum was weak, and it was obvious that recent events had also made him anxious. Although there were still many guests greeting him, Eminem didn't find anyone doing anything bad. For Pisk Zioe, I didn't recognize her, and didn't even know if she was a boy or a girl, but I think I heard about it when I was a child. Therefore, the clue that Eminem got was that this Pisk must be at least middle-aged, and cannot be a young man. After all, when Zioe was a child, that must have been 10 years ago. After coming to this conclusion, Eminem was given a fierce roll of the eyes by Zioe. Soon the memorial service officially started, but it was not as rigid as Eminem imagined. At most, everyone put down the food in their hands and looked in the direction of the host table. At this time, the host was explaining the life of director Zao with some witty remarks in his early years. Director Zao also made commercial films, but later he mainly focused on artistic films. The host sometimes teased director Zao for choosing a track with fewer people and sometimes used his hair loss as a joke, making the atmosphere lively. But Eminem didn't pay too much attention. His attention was entirely on Representative Shigehiko. At this moment, the door of the banquet hall was opened again, and Yumi walked in with a lot of junsha. However, this did not interrupt the process of the memorial service. Yumi produced a search warrant. The organizer did not stop her from entering, but asked her to try not to interrupt the memorial service. At this time, the lights in the hall suddenly dimmed, and an old-style projection was played in the direction of the host's desk. This was showing director Zao's early film style. The people suddenly panicked. It was dark all around, and they couldn't see where Senator Shigehiko was. But this is not a problem for Eminem. With his night vision ability, Eminem can see the entire banquet hall in full detail, even with a little light refracted by the projector. Immediately, Eminem noticed that the big-nosed man looked a little panicked, as if he had received some hint, and deliberately avoided juncture and sneakily approached a specific location. When Eminem saw this, he guessed it was the murderer's trap and immediately followed him. But at this moment, Yuanzi exclaimed, and the sound of something breaking also sounded in one direction. Yuanzi. Eminem immediately ignored Changan and looked towards Yuanzi. I saw a blonde woman who was beside Yuanzi at this time, seeming to be saying something, while Yuanzi was holding his stomach, and red liquid seemed to be flowing out. Yuanzi. Stop. Eminem shouted angrily, completely covering up the host's voice. Yumi heard Eminem's voice and thought someone was injured, so she immediately ordered, "Stop the ceremony and turn on the lights," but after pushing away the others and coming to Yuanzi, Eminem had discovered, just broke the wine glass and spilled the wine. Chapter 593 Attack. Before the lights came on, Eminem had already seen clearly. Although the distance was not close, Eminem's vision was almost unobstructed. Eminem just instinctively thought that Yuanzi was injured for the first time. After all, he knew that there were dangerous element at the scene, so it was easy to think this way. But the next moment, Eminem discovered that the color of the blood was not quite right, and there were broken goblets on the ground. It seemed that the person next to him didn't hold the glass firmly and accidentally dropped it, and the wine was still there. Just sprinkled it on Yuanzi. Yuanzi also knew that there was someone connecting here, so she was a little nervous and immediately exclaimed. The moment the lights came on, Eminem was already embarrassed. Well, actually what I wanted to say. Fortunately, at this moment, Representative Shigehiko came to the rescue and saved Amu and Sonoko from being in the banquet hall. They used their feet to carve out another 2-bedroom apartment for the Suzuki Hotel. Just listen to a genuine scream. At this time, Eminem quickly looked over and saw a burst of strong superpower surrounding Chang'an in the corner, and Chang'an screamed and fell to the ground. Immediately, no one paid attention to Sonoko and Amu, who had just spoken. The people around Shigehiko all screamed and dispersed, while Amu and Yumi rushed forward. When the two people stepped forward, the surrounding super energy had dissipated. At the same time, other Junsha immediately guarded the entrance and exit, controlling all the people present in the banquet hall and broadcasting to calm everyone's emotions. "You're still alive, but let's treat a dead horse like a living doctor." Eminem touched Chang'an's carotid artery and then immediately ran to the window. Above this position was Eminem's room, etc. "Don't move." Seeing this, Junsha wanted to stop him, but Yumi immediately said, "Let him go." I saw that Eminem was neither trying to escape with a flying Pokémon nor committing suicide, but jumped directly upstairs. "What's going on downstairs?" I couldn't help but ask when she saw Eminem coming up like this. "There's no time to explain. Just stay in your room. If anything happens, I'll have time to protect you," Amu said as he found the medicine box from his backpack and took out a tube of medicine. Immediately he climbed down again nimbly. When Eminem came back, he immediately ran to Chang'an and poured it into him. At this moment, Chang'an was seen. Although he was still breathing and had a heartbeat, his eyes were open blankly and there was drool at the corner of his mouth. "Even if I drink the potion, there will be no reaction." Under Yumi's gaze, Eminem shook his head slightly. He was probably completely stupid. "Everyone, please don't release Pokémon for now. Then we will count the Pokémon you carry." Yumi stood up and began to give instructions at the same time. Conan, who had not gone to the toilet at all, came over at some point. "Did you see what happened?" Eminem asked Conan. "The first time, I didn't see it, so I went to look for Yuanzi," Conan said helplessly. Sonoko's exclamation made Conan very nervous. It's human nature. Of course, the safety of friends is more important than any council member. The attack launched is future prediction. That is, I don't know how long ago it was set here. The superpower system will attack here regularly, but the delay is really long. I arrived half an hour ago. During this period no one released Pokémon or used skills, and I don't know what attracted Chang'an here, or whether he was brought here when the lights were turned off. Then, is it a coincidence? Or, Amu looked suspiciously at the blonde woman who was busy and apologizing next to Yuanzi. It is said that her action was to turn on the lights at the scene in advance, and even caused Chang'an to appear in full public view at the moment he was attacked. However, this did not change the outcome of Chang'an's attack. On the contrary, if Eminem keeps staring at Chang'an, he will probably find out the clues the moment future prediction is activated and take action in time to protect Chang'an. Judging from the results, the accident on Yuanzi's side contributed to the smooth progress of the assassination here. So Eminem got up and walked towards the garden. I only heard the blonde woman still apologizing at this time. She was indeed walking in the dark just now, and she accidentally broke the wine glass and spilled it on Sonoko Point in the Pokémon world. Each alliance uses almost the same language, but with different accents. In addition, there are some special dialects that may not be understood across regions. Yuanzi, who is this? Eminem looked at the other party suspiciously, and his stance was subtle to separate her from Yuanzi, in case this person suddenly attacked. Sorry, my name is Chris, I just accidentally, Chris said apologetically. What does Miss Chris do? Amu continued to frown at her, obviously not asking for her name. Yuanzi answered directly at this time. Miss Chris is an actress from the Hezhang area. She has appeared in several movies directed by Zayoshi. She is also a coordinator and has appeared in many famous movies. Coordinator, how old is Miss Chris? Eminem asked directly. Huh? Yuanzi looked at Amu in surprise. Should this be asked to a woman who is meeting for the first time? I think the timing just now was too coincidental. When I was staring at Representative Changayan, I happened to be at a critical moment and accidentally attracted my attention. Eminem said with a straight face. I just doubt you. The style. I see. I didn't expect that something like this would happen. If it weren't for me, Mr. Eminem should have been able to stop the tragedy from happening. Chris looked even more self-blame. Eminem kept looking at her without comforting or questioning her. Protect. Yuanzi muttered, and then glanced at Eminem. Where is the joint that was agreed upon? However, Yuanzi did not insist on chasing after Amu to ask anything at this time, nor did she say anything. I'm 26 years old. Chris responded directly upon seeing this. 26 years old? Amu frowned when he heard this. That 10 years ago was 16 years old. Based on ZioAI's statement, the possibility of Chris being Pisk seems very small, although ZioAI also had a codename and became an official member at the age of 17. But that was research a member of the sequence, and ZioAI is as talented as Eminem, and it is difficult to find the third one. If he is really a genius researcher, ZioAI should be impressed, but Pisk is obviously not like this. What Pokémon are you carrying? Eminem asked directly. All 6 of them are fairies, and none of them have explicit predict the future. Chris obviously also saw the attack just now, and did not hide that she saw this. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 594 Clues. Being explicit or not doesn't mean anything anymore. Amu shook his head. Then Junsha came to ask Chris to cooperate with the investigation, and Eminem did not pursue him. Pisk's future prediction must be an awakening skill. Normally, it only delays the skill's readiness time by about 2 times, and now this, predicting the future, should have been delayed for half an hour, at least ambushed before the memorial service started. Yuanzi has also gone to record a statement. After all, she screamed to attract everyone's attention before the victim screamed. So the testimony is also crucial. In fact, the most important thing is Eminem. To be precise, it is Eminem's voice that attracts everyone's attention. Yuanzi's exclamation is not that loud and powerful, and other Junsha actually saw that Amu obviously knew something. It's just that Yumi stopped the other Junshas from interrogating Amu at this time. Even Amu didn't understand. Why did Yumi have such a privilege? Ordinarily, even if the boss wants to do this, other Junshas shouldn't just leave a suspect alone, right? How's it going? Conan came over and asked Eminem, looking at her age. She shouldn't be Pisk. I don't know if she is an accomplice, Amu said, glancing at Junsha around him, and then said, but Junsha came in time. Look at the results of the subsequent investigation. At this moment, Eminem discovered that Conan was holding a towel in his hand, a green towel specially wrapped with his own handkerchief. Judging from the style, it was the same as his bright red return gift. Huh? Did you follow the gift? Why do you have a towel? Amu asked doubtfully. No, I don't know if it has anything to do with the case, but this towel fell in front of me before Sonoko said anything. I was not far away from Representative Shijihiko at that time. I'll let you guys identify it later, Conan said. quietly handing the towel to Eminem. He is a naughty kid, and he will definitely give orders to Junsha if he can't pretend to be powerful, so this is a gift in return for the memorial service. Conan confirmed to Eminem, that's right, mine is only different in color. Eminem said, red and green, does it mean anything? Conan asked in confusion upon seeing this. I'm going to ask, Eminem said, and came to the concierge desk at the door and asked, excuse me, is there any activity on the different colors of the towels in return? The person who registered the gift money said after hearing this, yes, we originally arranged for more than a dozen colors, and we wanted to give away different CDs of Mr. Zayo's works at that time. I didn't expect that something like this happened. This person's tone also a little solemn. What a sin. Eminem also sighed, looking at Conan as he spoke. Conan? After walking away, Conan whispered, what did you see me doing just now? You said, if you go to Representative Shigehiko's memorial service later, and then encounter a murder case, if this cycle continues, theoretically you will be able to eat for life. Eminem discovered that Conan could completely have a bug. This funeral made him look bigger and bigger. Hey, what does it have to do with me? And Senator Shigehiko hasn't died yet. Conan couldn't help but retort. Then Eminem found Yumi, handed her the towel and said, this towel may be related to the case. Let's identify it. Then you can ask someone to go to the concierge desk and ask for the record of the towel gift. The person who handed out the green towel, there should be only a dozen, and if it is really related to the case, the scope can be narrowed down. Yumi took it at this time and looked through it casually, but found nothing. Just out of trust in Eminem, she handed it over to the appraiser on the side. The list of green towels soon appeared in front of Yumi, and Eminem also came up to take a look. Eminem suddenly discovered that Chrissy's name was also on it. Eminem suddenly felt that she was even more suspicious seeing what Eminem was suspecting. Yumi took the initiative and said, Chris has been investigated. Among the 6 she brought, only Gardewa can learn, predict the future, but it is not explicit. The Pokémon currently being carried by people explicitly showing, predicting the future? Amdo asked. Yumi spread her hands after hearing this. Obviously not. If it was so blatant, then the murderer really took a gamble that Junsha wouldn't arrive right away. However, we have coordinated with the trainers of those Pokémon that can learn future prediction to replace the Pokémon skill with future prediction. If there is really an awakened future prediction among them, they should be able to find it. Yumi said without any hope. Indeed, awakened skills are generally very powerful. Even if they are only at level 1, they cannot be compared with unawakened skills. If they are really awakened, unless the direction of the awakening is very hidden and controllable, there is a high chance that it can be seen. But being able to learn, predict the future, does not mean learned, predicting the future. Unless it is learned naturally as the growth level increases. Otherwise, as long as people say no, Junsha has no way of knowing. Won't you'd better think again if there are any other clues. Without a formal arrest warrant, I can only keep them for 2 hours at most. Yumi said. Junsha can't do whatever he wants. There is no arrest warrant, and if he is just assisting in the investigation, 2 hours is the limit. Especially for Changayan. There were many people who sent him threatening letters, so we can't necessarily think that it was done by someone present. At this time, Eminem looked at Yumi in surprise. For what reason did you call so many Junshas? Amu was surprised to be able to summon so many Junshas suddenly. Humph, I'm the police chief of the Yuansu branch now. Starting from the morning, I called a group of Junsha to come out for drills. In the afternoon, several drill locations were arranged around the Suzuki Hotel. Then I arrived. Just notify everyone of the time. Yumi said proudly. The Minister of Police is responsible for the internal affairs of Junsha. When he suddenly said that he wanted to practice, the Junshas of the Yuansu branch only thought it was the first thing a new official needs to do when taking office. The exercises were held in multiple locations, and they all arrived near the Suzuki Hotel in the afternoon. Even if there were informants from Team Flare among them, they would not think of passing on the news. By the time they were told to go to the Suzuki Hotel immediately, and be sure to turn off all signaling equipment before arriving, the informant had no time to notify them. Therefore, Junsha came in time and secretly. Indeed, if we can't catch him this time, there's really nothing we can do. Eminem also praised Yumi. Chapter 595 Admit Defeat. More than an hour later, Junsha came over and reported to Yumi. Starting from the aspect of predicting the future, nothing was found. The Pokémon present who were able to predict the future, after putting on predicting the future, also no signs of awakening were found. It seems that it can only be thought that someone used the extremely delayed future prediction in advance, and then Pisk found a way to bring the victim to the designated location. Eminem said after learning the situation, it's also possible that the Pokémon have learned predict the future, but their trainers lied. This time there are 3 people carrying Slowking, Galarian Flame Horse and Messenger Bird respectively. Yumi added one sentence. Eminem also understands that all 3 of them can learn to predict the future, but they must take the initiative to learn it, and cannot learn it naturally by growing up alone. Therefore, as long as their trainer says never learned, Junsha cannot verify it. Eminem couldn't verify it. If it was really a Pokémon from the Dark Organization, it would definitely be very wary of other people. And Eminem's animal sense couldn't detect the opponent's situation in this case. Yumi must have tried it. Otherwise, with her power of Junsha, she can also make Pokémon testify honestly. Not to mention her experience in cases. Yumi's power of the king is still very strong. What kind of towels did those 3 people get? Eminem asked after thinking for a while. The green towel that Conan picked up before still made Eminem worried. There is no green one. Are you still thinking about the towel? I told you that nothing was detected. Yumi rolled her eyes. Could it be? Did Conan really pick up a useless towel? But it sounds strange. Yumi suddenly said at this time. What's wrong? Amu asked quickly. Seeing that you cared so much about green towels before, I checked all the people on the list who got green towels, and it turned out that all of them still had their towels on them. Yumi was also a little puzzled. Did someone take 2, or was there a staff member who came in with a towel? Conan on the side became anxious at this time and asked quickly. Really? Everyone was under Junsha's control at that time. When did you get here? Yumi was startled. I heard that Sister Yumi is here, so I came to see Sister Yumi. Conan said quickly, pretending to be cute. Eminem has long discovered that Conan's low presence at critical moments is about to catch up with his special abilities. Hey, kid, are you suspecting that there is someone in Junsha? Yumi filtered out the kid's flattery. Being missed by a kid is not something to be proud of, right? Yumi heard what Conan meant. I don't know either. But brother Eminem just said that if there is a problem with the green towel, Pisk and the other flaming team informants present will not sit still and wait for death. Conan immediately passed the blame to Eminem. Slim Shady? Yes, it is indeed like this. It really has something to do with the green towel. Eminem said instead. There are only 7 people who got the green handkerchief, right? Eminem confirmed to Yumi, who nodded. Originally, Eminem thought there would be more than a dozen people, but in fact, it seemed that the distribution was not even, and there were relatively few green ones. Brother Eminem, you can take a look at the Pokémon of those 7 people. Conan reminded from the side. Hearing this, Yumi directly circled a few people on the information sheet in her hand, then handed it to Eminem and said, these are the 7 people, Eminem. And Conan immediately started watching. Out of the 7 people, Eminem only knew one. That was Chris, who had acted suspiciously just now. As she said before, she carries 6 Pokémon. At her age, she still carries 6 Pokémon, which shows that her energy is still at the level of a professional trainer, a coordinator, and indeed a trainer. One of the types of teacher 6 Pokémon, all fairy type. In terms of strength, it was neither so strong that Eminem noticed, nor so weak that it was unreasonable. Indeed, at the beginning, it did not carry future prediction. However, 3 of them were able to learn predict the future, and they all showed it to Junsha. There was no sign of their skill awakening. Amu read her situation and confession several times, but still didn't see anything wrong, as if he really just bumped into Yuanzi by accident. So I had to look at other people first. Among The more business people and practitioners in the entertainment industry point in terms of age. Except for Chris, all the members fit the bill. The youngest is 34 years old and became a formal member of the organization 10 years ago, which makes sense. The oldest one is Kenzo, the president of the mountain cultivation company that runs a Mount Pokémon ranch. The old man is 71 years old. If you are a member of the Dark organization, it is not easy to live to this age. When Eminem looked at the other 6 Pokémon, he suddenly realized something and narrowed his eyes. Conan looked at Eminem in surprise and doubt, and then asked, "What did you find?" Conan didn't want to admit that Eminem could actually see some doubts earlier than him. At the same time, based on his understanding of Eminem, Conan felt that there was a high probability that Eminem had seen some strange things, or I found some weird jokes that have nothing to do with the case. But looking at Eminem's eyes, Conan felt that it was clearly a look that revealed something. Nothing. It seems there is really nothing we can do, but it's a pity. Eminem reluctantly returned the information sheet to Yumi. Yes, there are no clues about how to lead the victim to that location. Maybe that Pisk used future prediction earlier and then led Representative Shigehiko to the location, and he was just a small character. Even if he is just a guy who collects money to do things, it will be difficult to find him, and he will have to do an in-depth investigation of the people who were around at the time. Yumi said helplessly, "Isn't it? Do you have to?" Conan was still a little unwilling. "There is no other way. We have been detained for 2 hours. Although Mr. Do gave me some privileges, but, Eminem just rolled his eyes and pretended not to hear. Yumi had obviously accidentally revealed something again. No wonder her final transfer of Junsha, who was already around, went so smoothly. It seems that her other mission against Team Flare also has the corresponding authority. Moreover, this privilege was given to Yumi by Adu. At least it was given to Yumi by the Quartz Alliance led by Adu. After all, Adu is about to become the champion of Johto. At the same time, he was also a Pokémon investigator and has a close relationship with the Junsha clan. Eminem looked like I have tried my best at this time, and Yumi had no choice but to let the others go. Chapter 596 Method. After Yumi released her, Eminem discussed the matter with Yuanzi for a while, and then asked her to leave first. "Hey, are you taking too much risk?" Since Pisk is a formal member of the organization, he will definitely not be easily followed. Conan naturally saw that Eminem didn't really want to give up. Official member? When Jin saw me, he didn't dare to breathe, you know. Eminem said confidently, "Yes, if you want to follow, you should have some chances, but other ordinary Junsha will definitely not do it, and you can only follow one. Are you sure you are not mistaken?" Conan looked at Yumi, who was also retreating, leaving only one person behind. The next few people who continued to survey the scene continued to complain. Conan understood that Eminem was preparing to catch the other party's tail personally, but Conan himself didn't understand yet how Eminem solved the case. "Wait, while I pick up Zio AI first," Amu said, and went upstairs directly from the window. "Hey." Conan was even more confused. Why did he still need to take Zio AI with him? Want to lure the snake out of its hole again? But little did he know that Eminem's original target was Pisk's account and personal login, which was probably his computer. From there, Noah can sneak into the Dark Organization's internal network, and then let Zio AI serve as a guide, allowing Noah to take out the data of the evolutionary experiment. Eminem doesn't have the ability to distinguish that information. After picking up Zio AI, Eminem took Zio AI and naturally walked into the elevator normally. He found that Conan was also in the elevator and had no intention of coming out. He couldn't help but ask, "Why are you still following me? Aren't you going to track the murderer?" Conan said in surprise, "Yes, but taking care of 2 children is a bit too much, isn't it?" Eminem said with disgust. Conan, not only Conan, but Zio AI also glanced at Eminem because of the 2 children words. The motorcycle lizards can only be taken one by one. Eminem emphasized, "I brought the skateboard Rotom, and don't come here. You didn't even want to follow me outside, did you?" Conan gave Eminem no chance. To make excuses seeing Eminem's surprised look, Conan said proudly, "Just now Yuanzi was so obedient to leave first. You must have something to entrust her to do. And, you two didn't wear safety helmets. It shows that there is no safety helmet at all. Want to go out? Okay, count you in." Eminem said and pressed the elevator button point as Conan said. Eminem was going upstairs instead of downstairs. At the same time, the elevator on the other side stopped at the 7th floor. At this time, several people came into the elevator, except Chris, and the old man Kenzo whom Eminem was paying attention to. No more, no less. Exactly 7. That is, 7 holders of green handkerchiefs. It was no coincidence that the 7 of them were taking the elevator at this time. Previously, Junsha had commandeered the 7th floor, which had fewer people and a spacious conference room, as a place for temporary inquiries. The reason why the 7 of them stayed at the end was because Yumi asked about the green towel again at the end point. At the same time, Yuanzi in the monitoring room looked at the scene in the elevator and said decisively, "Now, Miss Yuanzi, are you really going to?" The security captain at the scene was still a little worried at this time. "You heard me right." Yuanzi glared at him point, thinking about what Mrs. Tomoko had said before, leaving all the power to Sonoko to make arrangements. He immediately no longer hesitated. As soon as the handbrake next to it was pulled, the elevator on the side of the 7 people suddenly stopped after a sudden brake, and the people inside also swayed. Yuanzi, who had been prepared for a long time, discovered that indeed, the old man who seemed to be the oldest was actually the steadiest. At the same time, an announcement immediately sounded in the elevator. "Can you hear it? This is the Suzuki Hotel. What's going on? What happened to the elevator? It can't be a malfunction." When asked by several people, the security captain replied, "Don't worry, everyone. Although the elevator has some minor malfunctions, it is very safe. Please be patient and do not squeeze or pry the elevator door. We will restore the malfunction as soon as possible. Everyone is safe now, don't worry." At the same time, Eminem, Conan, and ZYOAI have arrived at the 23rd floor. Eminem has checked before that Kenzo lives in the Suzuki Hotel. He also asked Yuanzi for a spare key card. "Is it that old man? How did you know it was him? Are you sure?" Conan had obviously read the information carefully. From the moment Eminem pressed the floor button, he thought of old man Kenson. Conan saw Eminem coming outside room 2307 and taking out the key card, so he immediately confirmed it. Among the Pokémon he registered, there is a natural bird that is over level 50, so that natural bird that is over level 50 has a future prediction skill, and I showed it to Yumi. It's not an awakening skill. Conan asked, "Just to remind you, you should be able to think of it. When a Pokémon evolves, its skills can be adjusted instantly." Eminem reminded, "Huh, you mean, I see." Conan was indeed reminded of this, and reacted. The natural bird before the natural bird evolved was only 20 centimeters long. Kenzo, no, Pisk only needed to put the natural bird on his arm. In the dark environment at that time, it was inconspicuous at all. In order to further cover up, Pisk also covered the natural bird with a towel. The body, it's all green anyway, so I'm not afraid of being seen. In other words, the deadly future prediction move was not released in advance at all, but was used on the spot because the Pokémon was small enough to avoid being noticed, and in this case, it is no wonder that there is no reason why Representative Shigehiko was lured there. I'm afraid that it was Kenzo's attack in the dark, aiming at Shigehiko. Then, as long as the attack is delayed, find a secluded place, and under the cover of a green towel, let the natural bird begin to evolve. Although there is light of evolution, as soon as it starts to flicker, it can be immediately put back into the Pokeball. After evolving into a natural bird that is nearly a person tall, no one will doubt that this thing came out at that time. But, can it really be over level 50 without evolving? Conan asked in confusion. Of course normal training is not possible, but, Amu said and glanced at ZYOAI, who continued, but the Dark Organization is an expert in this field. Don't forget how you became small. That's right. APTX 4869 in this world is essentially the power that causes Pokémon to degrade. when it acts on a human body, there is a high probability that the gene will collapse and be turned into liquid, and there is a small probability that it will trigger the reverse aging effect. The Dark Organization's technology has already reached extremely high levels in terms of evolution and Pokémon genes. When Eminem was training Guang Guang, he also consulted ZioAI for advice on inhibitory potions. Even Eminem suspected that the natural bird might have temporarily degenerated. Chapter 597 Silencing. Conan was a little downcast, but he didn't expect that he was one step behind Eminem in solving the case. And Eminem doesn't seem to be cheating this time, of course. What Conan didn't know was that when the small plane evolved into Pockets a month ago, Eminem used the characteristics of genes are unstable during evolution and skills can be changed instantly to replace the small plane with life water drops. Save the endangered Shaggy Pig. At the same time, Eminem himself has been using potions to inhibit the evolution of Gungan, so it is easy to think of this aspect, but when it comes to the mouth, actually, it's not that difficult to think about. It's just a little bit of logical thinking. With the extra green towel, people will pay more attention to it. It's not difficult to solve the case. Ahem. Of course I don't mean that detectives are useless. As Eminem spoke, he was rummaging through Kenzo's room. After solving the case, what Eminem had to do was very simple. Inform Sonoko and also secretly inform Yumi. There should not be many informants of Team Flare in Junsha, but as long as there is a large-scale transfer, the informants will definitely be alerted. So Yumi pretended to give up and retreated, leaving only those who maintained the scene. A small part of Junsha. On the other hand, Sonoko took advantage of her home field advantage and trapped Kenzo, who was left to the end by Yumi, in the elevator. At this time, even if the other party has a slight suspicion, there is no way to verify it. The signal amplification in the elevator has been turned off, and now there is no signal at all. At this time, Eminem and ZioAI took the opportunity to come to Zion-san's room. ZioAI immediately took aim at his portable computer and started operating it while Eminem was rummaging around. Firstly, to see if there are any valuable clues, and secondly, also to be wary of whether the other party might be hiding a bomb. Normally, it shouldn't be the case. Old man Kenson is not the kind of guy who is ready to die together at any time, but there's no evidence yet, right? The green towel handed to Junsha must have been changed. If there is a mistake in the end, you will have committed a burglary now, Conan said with some displeasure. As for the evidence, there was originally no evidence, but just after Yumi was released, it has been put online, Eminem said matter-of-factly. Online? Conan was stunned when he heard this, and then immediately searched on his mobile phone. Look for gossip, Eminem reminded. Sure enough, there were reporters present who had taken pictures of the previous memorial service, but the protagonists were a man and a woman. After the lights were turned off, they began to kiss passionately, and they were photographed. Because of the lighting problem, the gossip reporter did not dare to turn on the flash, so the photo was very blurry. Beaut if you look carefully, you can see old man Kenzo is illuminated in the back corner, and his arm is glowing with green light. It should be that the natural sparrow was caught on camera at the moment of evolution, before it had time to take back the Pokeball. It must be that when taking back the evolving natural bird, Kenson dropped the green towel in return in a hurry, and Conan happened to pick it up. Found it, ZioAI suddenly said, and after a pause said, it is indeed the authentication login terminal within the organization. Old man Zionson obviously didn't know as much about computers as ZioAI, and he quickly found the login port hidden in a hidden folder. Hey, it's really not an automatically memorized password, ZioAI complained. It's too easy to remember passwords. Amu rolled his eyes. He lived to be 71 years old in the organization. How could he be so careless? But at this moment, I saw that Noah had flowed out of Eminem's pocket. It doesn't matter, I will take action. After Noah finished speaking, he drilled into Kenzo's portable computer again in a mosaic manner. After a while, Kenzo's password was cracked. Be careful. If Noah's Ark is still on guard, retreat first. Eminem reminded the computer screen. Noah has already sneaked into the Dark Organization's network. With Kenzo's authority, he actually couldn't access APTX 4869's information. After all, he was neither one of the previous bosses nor a relevant researcher. However, all he needs to do is provide a login point for his account, and Noah will find it himself later. I saw groups of data and the beginning of files flashing on the screen, while ZOAI kept saying no. Next, I'll take a look at more of this group. Stop messing around. Maybe you can pretend you didn't notice anything later. Conan was very dreamy and wanted to continue tracking Pisk and get more clues about the Dark Organization from him. Impossible. This landing will definitely be discovered. After a little checking, they will know that Pisk has been exposed. Eminem didn't want to put a long-term focus on him. However, while ZOAI was busy, Eminem's picture book rang. Seeing that the caller was Yuanzi, Eminem immediately answered the call. Amu. Something happened in the elevator. The surveillance camera can't see the situation inside, and the radio communication can't be contacted. Yuanzi said quickly. Okay, I understand. You don't have to worry here. After saying this, Eminem hung up the phone and became fully alert. Zao. AI, hurry up and let Noah come out within 3 minutes. Eminem reminded ZOAI. Found it. Just 2.5 minutes more. ZOAI said immediately. Eminem immediately released Zyodian to avoid being too late. Are they those men in black? Hateful. They escaped last time. Don't even think about escaping this time. Don't even think about escaping. Zio-Shan said excitedly, as soon as he came out. Of course Eminem won't remind her. They didn't escape from you last time. It was you who attracted Nazi's attention and were blasted by Nazi, so they escaped. Huh. We've made a big discovery. Noah, download these encrypted files first. ZOAI suddenly said. However, at this moment, before Eminem could ask what he had found, he saw Duong on the screen showing red blockade tapes. Oops, what's wrong? Fortunately, before Eminem could get anxious, Noah was transformed into a mosaic and flowed out from the computer. This made Eminem relieved. At least Noah was not trapped. But what surprised Eminem was that he was already ready to fight. But 5 minutes passed and Kenzo hadn't come back yet. Finally, there was a click, and when I heard the sound of opening the door, I saw that Xiao Fang was already flashing lightning, ready to fool the face of the incoming. Zao. Shen. Wait. Amu stopped her quickly. The person who came in at this moment was Yumi. No. Need to wait. That guy is already dead in the elevator shaft. Yumi reluctantly informed Eminem and then asked with some expectation, is there a discovery directory or something? Chapter 598. This wave is not a loss. I almost found it, but Noah was found first. Eminem said regretfully. Just before Noah made an emergency exit, he discovered the core secrets of the Dark Organization. If it succeeds, a large number of informants from Team Flare will be exposed. Unfortunately, the Dark Organization's internal network alert was also triggered at this time, and the other party was even trying to find a way to block Noah's escape route. Noah was born from the ultimate AI, Noah's Ark, and Noah's Ark was previously in the Dark Organization's intranet point, but now it seems that it is likely that it has been transferred back to the Schindler Group, or it is intended to make a big splash. Otherwise Noah would not be able to get away so easily. Is Kenzo dead? Homicide or not? Eminem asked. 9 times out of 10, he was the one who killed me. Yumi told the details of the case. When the elevator was closed and trapped them before, it had gradually stopped on the underground floor. Outside was Yumi's returning gun, and dozens of Junsha were blocking the outside. But at this moment, the elevator's monitoring and communication suddenly failed. For safety reasons, the Junshas immediately pried the elevator open from the outside. As a result, there were only 6 people in the elevator at this time. According to the confessions of the 6 of them, there was a sudden power outage in the elevator just now. Chris was using her mobile phone at this time, and she quickly turned on the phone's light, but there was only a bang, and Chris screamed in pain and was knocked down. Cell phone. Then in desperation, someone released the Pokémon, and the elevator suddenly became crowded and chaotic. When Junsha pried open the elevator outside and rescued the 6 people, he found that the lid on the elevator had been pushed open, Yumi quickly took the lead and chased after her, only to find that the outer door of the elevator on the 4th floor was open, but the 4th floor was also a rented conference room. There was no one there at all, so naturally no witnesses could be found. When Yumi continued to chase out, trying to find the trace, she was informed by her operator that Kenzo's body was found at the bottom of the elevator shaft. The cause of death was that his spine was directly broken, and he didn't even have time to release the Pokémon. If he hadn't slipped and fallen and just broke his neck, it would have been homicide. After all, the elevator shaft is 1 floor away from the underground, so it's only 1.5 floors high, so it's more likely that he committed suicide. Yumi said. Eminem thought along Yumi's train of thought, that is to say, Kenzo realized something was wrong and was about to escape from the elevator, but he bumped into his companion who came to silence him. That companion X, after killing Kenzo, escaped directly from the 4th floor, where there were few people, although we have asked people to check at several exits. We should. Yumi didn't think that ordinary Junsha could stop a formal member of the dark organization. Eminem frowned, and Yumi couldn't help but ask, what's wrong? I always feel something is weird. Eminem had a vague feeling that something was wrong. Brother, Eminem, those bad guys wanted to silence them from the beginning, right? It's so scary. Conan said from the side at this time. Seriously, why are you saying this in front of the children? After hearing this, Yumi immediately complained about Eminem. Eminem understands what Conan is suggesting, but Eminem didn't find it strange. Isn't that what dark organizations are like? The way to get to know the members of the organization is basically either an undercover confession or gin and wine to silence them. Only after Conan reminded him, Eminem also realized that this timeline is indeed a bit strange. Busk must have been in the elevator for a long time, and then he realized that he might be discovered, so he had to escape in a dangerous way, not caring that his identity would be exposed. But when did the person who came to silence him find out? It couldn't have been Pisk himself who rushed to report it, right? Since he has survived to his current age, he should not make such a mistake. Could it be that, like Eminem, he saw the photos online? Or should they be silenced from the beginning? Eminem still feels something weird. After all, Pisk is also a formal member with a code name, and he is an old man in the organization. He is not determined to sacrifice Representative Shigehiko just to silence him, right? And if he had wanted to silence him for a long time, Pisk's account should have been blocked in advance. However, just now Noah used Pisk's account to take out information, and when he was finally discovered, it was closer to the time Pisk came out of the elevator. Could it be that the person who silenced him first killed Pisk and then notified the organization to be on guard against Pisk's account? Or is it Eminem suddenly thought of a possibility? Brother, Eminem, I'm going out to play. Conan had obviously thought about it and was about to sneak out at this time, but Eminem immediately picked him up and said, it's dangerous outside. Let's play inside. Conan looked at Eminem anxiously, but Eminem still didn't let go. Eminem also thought of it. If you think about it this way, the most reasonable explanation is the person who silenced Pisk was actually in the elevator. By the way, where are the other people in the elevator? Amu asked, pretending to be casual. Don't worry, none of them are seriously injured and have been sent to the hospital, Yumi said. And after hearing that those people were no longer under Junsha's control, Amu basically gave up the idea of chasing them. Forget it. It's not a loss this time, and maybe there will be gains over there. Eminem comforted himself in a low voice. 2 hours later, Jin also saw Chris leaving the hospital, or rather Belmont. This face is not her disguise, or it is the face that is closest to her real appearance. She still wears makeup. It's also because when Eminem watched Conan, he didn't really like the main plot cases. Otherwise he might have the impression that Belmode's social identity is that of a female star, and she plays a role of mother and daughter. Note 1. That idiot Pisk was actually photographed, but it's great that you were so decisive in your actions. I thought you would become more gentle as you get older. Jin looked at Belmode and said, a gentleman should not judge a lady's age. Belmode said calmly, but that guy didn't even release his Pokémon. Sure enough, He is old and has lost his fighting spirit. Do you think you won't take action after your identity is exposed? Ha ha ha. Jin laughed. Well, you probably won't live to be as old as Pisk. Belmode mocked Jin for repeatedly mentioning his age point. Of course, it's no wonder that Pisk was unprepared, because at the memorial service, it was Belmode who discovered that Junsha was investigating the towels and took the risk to exchange the green towel for him and stole another one himself, thus preventing Pisk from being directly see-through. Note 2. Pisk did not expect that the person who had risked his life to save him before would now kill him as soon as he asked, even if you don't take action, I have already asked boss for instructions. This old man cannot be kept here. Jin was unmoved by this ridicule. Oh, then it's just you who did it. I don't want to be resented by Ireland in the future. Why hasn't your injury healed yet? Belmode looked at Jin in confusion, who seemed to be even more seriously injured. It's a little thing. Jin's face was dark, and he didn't answer. Note 1. This habit is not far-fetched. Bendong used to jump into the main plot related to the Dark Organization and the detective team when watching Conan. He mainly liked the case of Uncle Maori being slept with. The main plot of the Dark Organization was all after saving a lot. Let's make up for it together. Raise your hands if you like it. Note 2. In this paragraph in the original work, Sister Benny did take a risk to save Pisk and gave her towel to Pisk. Moreover, she did not have a towel afterwards. She used her credibility to save Pisk. After that, Pisk was silenced by Jin. However, the plot here requires that it be replaced by Sister Betty. From a behavioral logic point of view, it seems that Sister Betty does have this kind of character that saves when she needs to be saved and strikes when it is time to strike. Chapter 599. Let's talk about it later in the year. No matter what, Eminem thinks this wave is worth it. With his own actions, the Dark Organization lost a hardcore veteran and a high-quality informant at the level of member of the Central City Council. Not only did Eminem suffer no loss, he also successfully downloaded the app 9527 experimental data from the Dark Organization's intranet. With this, Zio AI will soon be able to create the Conan Megastone, Dark Fog, and the development of a suppressor to quell the mutated EV's tyrannical gene will officially begin. Because the Suzuki Hotel would be searched and checked for a period of time, and since Eminem and others lived on the 13th floor, and someone had just died downstairs, Eminem and others simply moved to the Pokémon Center that day. Ensu City is still very big, and for Eminem, the Pokémon Center is closer to the official German Battle Club, but for Xiaolan and Yuanzi, the impact of the death downstairs is still huge. In the evening, Amu and his group, who had just moved to their new home, were already having dinner at the Pokémon Center. Really? Just a little bit close. He was already found. If it hadn't been for the clue card that happened to appear. Sakura complained regretfully while eating, and waved her little fist. Sakura. Tomoyo reminded her in a low voice to pay attention to her manners. Sakura originally wanted to attend the memorial service with Eminem, although it had nothing to do with the clue cards. Since she knew someone was going to be killed, Sakura couldn't ignore it. But Eminem didn't want Sakura and Tomoyo to get involved. After all, the Dark Organization matter had nothing to do with them. And this is not simply a matter of strength or weakness. The Dark Organization has many ways of stumbling behind the scenes. Finally, at Sakura's strong request, Eminem pretended to be serious and handed over the task of guarding the area around the Suzuki Hotel to Sakura. The original intention was to keep her away from direct conflict with the Dark Organization, but unexpectedly, Sakura actually blocked Jin. If it were anyone else, Sakura might not know him, but she had seen this blonde man before at Lake of Anger, and she was really not face blind. She could actually recognize him from a distance when fighting Jin. Mippei also made a horizontal barrage. Sakura, Tomoyo, Jin, and Vodka were involved in a huge maze space. This allowed the battle between Sakura and Jin to not alarm the outside world, and, in the dungeon, Sakura, as a single combat power, had an advantage over a trainer whose combat power was spread over multiple Pokémon. More importantly, Jin was in the Lake of Anger before, and several Pokémon were washed by Nazi. In the end, they were all taken away by Hinata and handed over to the Alliance for interrogation point. Although it has been quickly replenished and the combat power is not low, there is obviously a problem with coordination, and Jin's own injury is not healed yet. Therefore, in the maze, Jin was beaten by Sakura again. Before, Eminem was thinking that, if an outsider silenced Pisk, maybe there would be something for Sakura to gain point. It's just that the two of them have fought in the maze several times. The ever-changing maze means that each battle will not last too long. The terrain of the maze will change and separate them open point. As for finding opportunities to sneak attack Tomoyo and create opportunities, if it weren't for there was a reason why he had to do it, or if he could get rid of the relationship, otherwise Jin would not have attacked Tomoyo and Sonoko. Tomoyo is the only daughter of Sonomi, the leader of the Prodigy group. If Sonomi loses her mind and seeks revenge, the Dark Organization will also have a headache point. As for the garden, even if the Suzuki group was not taken into consideration, her brother Daigo, not even Jin, or even the Dark Organization would be willing to mess with him point. Finally, when Sakura conquered the miscellaneous cards, Jin took the opportunity to escape. By the way, Xiaolan, Conan secretly came to the memorial service today. Yuanzi seized the opportunity and complained to Conan. Conan, what? Conan, didn't you tell me that you went to the network room to take online classes in the afternoon? Xiaolan suddenly became angry. But at this moment, the sliding door of the Pokémon Center restaurant was opened violently, and a clang sound attracted everyone's attention. Then I saw a man who looked somewhat familiar, walking in with some staggering steps, and actually, even walked to Eminem. Ah. You're not. Yuanzi seemed to recognize the person. The visitor stared at Eminem intently and slammed his backpack in front of him. Can you really walk? The man said fiercely. Huh? Are you Mr. Guangxi? Long time no see. Amu looked confused. Don't come here, bastard. Did you promise to tell me the itinerary? Why did you disappear from Hubi Town? If I hadn't seen this in the newspaper, I wouldn't have known. Xiaolang said, taking out the newspaper. News from today's memorial service above. That's right. The person who came was none other than the dusty little wolf. After Amu and others left Hubi Town in the northeastern mountains, Xiaolang thought they were still on foot, so he walked out of the mountainous area, but there was no trace of Amu and others. Then he saw the news about the Lake of Anger. Xiaolang guessed that Eminem must have been to the Lake of Anger and hiked through Libo Mountain south of Kaji City and east of Yuansu City. Of course we are taking a plane. How can we leave in time? Eminem retorted in a low voice. When Xiaolang heard this, he became even more crazy. Aren't you on a training trip? Why do you always fly? Huh? Mr. Xiaolang, didn't you say that you won't follow us? I also told Eminem that you definitely didn't want to take advantage of Sakura's precognitive dream and the magic power of attracting cloak cards, so there is no need to tell you the itinerary. Oh, did I guess wrong? I'm so sorry. Tomoyo stood up at this time and said very apologetically. Little wolf. Eminem looked at Tomoyo and immediately showed a well done expression. At this time, Sonoko looked at the two of them more and more suspiciously, feeling that Tomoyo's attitude was a bit different from before. Now this is because he is dissatisfied with Xiaolang's attitude towards Eminem, so he stands up and says this. Right. And why don't you call Eminem sir? When did this start? Didn't we have a quarrel before? That little wolf suddenly became at a loss. Fortunately, Sakura didn't care and said, it doesn't matter. Isn't Sioran a descendant of Lord Clorido's cousin? Then, if you really want the cloak card, it's not impossible. If you don't want the cloak card, but you want to witness the cloak card being sealed, it's not impossible. Tomoyo added. Where are you going next? Xiaolang's face turned red, but he still asked. Huh? After that, of course I didn't bother staying in Yuansu City before, and then I went home to celebrate the new year. Eminem said matter-of-factly. As the new year is approaching, of course everyone will go back to their respective homes. After traveling through time, Eminem has celebrated the new year with Grandma Rexy and Sister King Mui every year. Trainers who are traveling do not have to go home during the new year. Although there is still more than half a month left, no one is ready to bother anymore. There are many things to do in Yuansu City, such as the official gym to challenge, such as the famous places of interest such as the Burnt Tower and the Bell Tower, which must be seen, plus we still have to go to the Battle Club. Haven't more than 10 days passed by in a blink of an eye. After that, going home a week early to celebrate the new year is the main theme point, although we still need to train, prepare for competitions, and conquer the claw cards. But, we will talk about it after the year. Chapter 600 Gym Challenge. By the way, when did you return to Kanto before the end of the year? Sonoko asked Amy. Xiaolang had already gone to check out the room at this time, and there were still these people at the dining table. Let's go 10 days in advance. There are a lot of things to do in Yuansu City, and when we return to our hometown, there will be no fighting club. Eminem said after counting the days. Xiaolang and I are about the same, but we are going back to Rainbow City. Yuanzi thought that Amy should go directly back to Kyanhang City. Sangzhou Town is not far to the west of Kyanhang City, and there is no airport in Sangzhou Town, so he has to transfer in Kyanhang City. I'll also go back to Rainbow City first, Amu said, and touched the head of Xiao Ai who had been silent next to him. When Xiao Ai heard this, her movements froze, and then she flattened her mouth and remained silent. Conan looked suspicious when he saw this. Normally, shouldn't Xiao Ai slap his hand away? However, Conan didn't know why Eminem returned to Rainbow City first, but Xiao Ai knew. Her sister Mingmei had been transferred from Cerulean City Hospital to Rainbow City, the most central city in the Kanto region, where the Dark Organization has the highest price to infiltrate. Coupled with the touching of the head at this time, Xiao Ai understood that Eminem wanted to see her sister first during the Chinese New Year, so she took a detour to Rainbow City. Yuanzi said matter-of-factly, that's right, you should go and see. Right. Amu was stunned when he heard this, wondering how Yuanzi could guess it. It didn't take long to realize that Sonoko was talking about Mom's classroom, Pharmacy Research Institute. Although it is just a shell, the actual scientific research projects are outsourced to the Jisoo Research Institute, and only Leixi serves as Party A's representative at the Jisoo Research Institute. But, since its establishment, Amu, as the director, has not visited it even once. A bit strange because the Jisoo Research Institute is in Rainbow City. The Mom classroom is naturally opened in Rainbow City. Otherwise Leixi would always need to travel. Now, Mom classroom theoretically only has 3 people. The director Amu, the general manager Sonoko, and the only employee Leixi. Yuanzi glanced at Eminem strangely. Why did he seem to have just remembered this? Then, I'll book a ticket for the 20th. I don't need to book Tomoyo and Sakura this time, Sonoko said while humming. Tomoyo. Of course Tomoyo and Sakura are going back to Manjin City, and Xiaolan is also going to Rainbow City for the Chinese New Year. Eminem doesn't know whether she's going to her mother to celebrate the Chinese New Year, or whether Uncle Kagoro will also be tricked. Then, after the New Year, you can come directly to Manjin City, Tomoyo said to Eminem. That's fine. Eminem thought for a moment and said, when will you guys finish celebrating the New Year? For a normal trip, the next stop in Enju City is probably either Kakayo City heading to the southeast or Mankin City heading south. Tomoyo and Sakura were originally going to go back to Mankin City. There is no need to make a special trip in the end, as for my house, you can't go out until after the 15th. It's the same with Sakura's house. Tomoyo paused and then said, if you are afraid of affecting the preparations for the competition, you can also come to Manjin City first. There is a training ground at my house. After all, if you wait until the 15th to start again, you will lose almost a month, and the Johto Newcomer competition will start at the end of February or the beginning of March. Sonoko looked at Tomoyo with an increasingly uneasy look, and said, by the way, that's not necessary. It's not like there is no battle club in Kyanhang City, and Kyanhang Gym is very familiar with my family, but Eminem shook his head and said, no, I probably won't have time until the 15th, so that's just right. Of course Eminem has not forgotten that after the new year, He will go to Jinhuang City to hold a press conference with teacher Jumu. When everyone knows that the moon bear that shocked the academic world was actually bred by Eminem, then even if Eminem takes out the majestic Fang or even the changing Eevee, everyone will I won't feel anything is wrong. As for the preparation time for the competition, in Eminem's opinion, it is more than enough. By the way, Eminem, when will you challenge Yuanzi Jim? Yuanzi asked enthusiastically. Tomorrow. Amu was stunned when he heard this and didn't understand why Yuanzi still cared about this. Just tomorrow? Xiaolan, let's go too. Yuanzi looked malicious. I'll forget it. Xiaolan's face suddenly turned pale. Eminem also nodded at this time and said, do you also want to challenge the gym? Indeed, the Yuanzu gym is for the ghost type and is not suitable for the fighting type Xiaolan to challenge. By the way, how many badges do you have already? Just like you. 4. Yuanzi said proudly. Of course, there is nothing strange about 4 badges. Yuanzi has been traveling for a year. Although compared to other travel trainers, Yuanzi has less time for field experience and spends a large part of his time on online classes. But 4 badges are nothing. Difficulty. It would be strange if you couldn't even get 6 badges in a year. Usually, you start to gain strength after the 7th badge. If you don't get 6 badges in a year, you can basically give up being a professional trainer. By the way, Amu, you're not going to challenge me normally, are you? Yuanzi looked at Eminem suspiciously at this time. What's wrong? Eminem was surprised. Should he go through the back door? This is the Yuanzu gym. I've already come here. Wouldn't it be a waste to challenge it normally? Yuanzi emphasized. Why? Yuanzu gym? What are you talking about? Only then did Eminem react. As one of the 8 major gymnasiums in the Johto area, Enchu Gym is challenged by many people. The special feature is that among the challenges of 4 to 6 badges, there are 2 challenge modes. One is a normal dual challenge, and the other is a challenge with 4 to 6 badges. There's another one, that's the Haunted Mansion Challenge. Due to some historical issues in Yuanzu City, there are some spooky ownerless haunted houses everywhere, especially in the suburbs. If you choose the Haunted House Challenge, the challenger will be assigned some target haunted houses and let them go there on a fixed date. Explore. Of course, Yuanzu Gym will sometimes deliberately let gym trainers pretend to be ghosts in the Haunted House Challenge. The key point is this: sometimes, if there must be gym trainers causing trouble, everyone would not be so afraid. It is said that the gym owner came up with this challenge method to let young trainers know more about ghost type Pokémon. It would be better if they can be scared out of some ghost type talents. Yuanzi obviously wants to mobilize Xiaolan and Amu to challenge the haunted house together. Xiaolan looked frightened, and it wasn't because the ghost type restrained the fighting type. But in the end, Xiaolan couldn't resist Yuanzi's pity, so she had to agree. As for Eminem, it doesn't matter. Although for him, a direct challenge is more direct, but if you think about it, you have to queue up to explore the haunted house. You only need to go there on a specified date. In terms of time consumption, in fact, it's all one day. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.